without breaking the bank. Start the new year with some new excitement, new hope, and some new bling. Happy New Year 2021 from your friends at Diamonds Direct. Get details, directions, and more at diamondsdirect.com on Group Credit.
Hello, fashion-conscious home lovers. Let's transform your lovely home's sense of fashion with the most beautifully current and stylish chic designer window treatments. Just contact Michael for an in-home visit at proctordrapery.com. 7 days. It's Proctor, spelled like doctor.
Proctor Drapery, the best in town. No finer window fashion can be found. Call for an appointment at your home. Spell Proctor like doctor.
Guns, guns, guns. It's gun show time. Don't miss the big St. Charles Gun and Knife Show and Sale this weekend at the Convention Center. Thousands of new and used rifles, shotguns, handguns, knives, wholesale ammunition, holsters, reloading supplies, and so much more. Bring in your old gun collections. Buyers on hand paying up to $10,000 for rare collections. So don't miss the big St. Charles Gun and Knife Show and Sale this weekend at the Convention Center. Saturday 9 to 5 and Sunday 9 to 3.
Get your engagement ring your way. Choose from the largest selection of unique ring settings and loose diamonds, rubies, and sapphires. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
You can ask your smart speaker to play 97.1 FM Talk for information with perspective. Although you don't have to say all the tagline stuff. Just say, play 97.1 FM Talk. Powered by Dell Technologies. Call 877-ASK-DELL. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I'm playing with these stinger buttons over here.
Mm-hmm.
Could be dangerous.
It could be dangerous. I'm nervous.
Nobody knows what I just said, though, right? It's radio lingo.
Timmy.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Well,
that was a lot of build-up.
Yeah. That was a very tense moment. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, it is afternoon, 12:08 here in the Heartland, Central Standard Time. Welcome to the Annie Frey Show. Well, you got me again. It's like an old shoe, just keeps turning up.
We are thrilled to have you, Tim.
Tim Jones in for Annie Frey, and I've got my A-team back with me. Not that, hey, I had a good time with Jake and with Eric Robert this week. They did a fine job. So, Katie, you chose wisely getting those two fellas in here.
Everything was great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jake, and thank you, Eric. I appreciate you both.
They did a good job, and we had both ends of the spectrum. So Jake is young and fresh and new, and was kind of like, well, Tim, I've never really done this before. I looked at him and I said, neither have I. And it freaked him out.
No better time to learn.
I said, no, don't worry about it. We'll be fine. We had a great time. We had a really good time. And Tony popped in for a while. Nice. And then Eric Robert was in yesterday, which was wonderful. And Eric's just fantastic. I just made him do a couple segments by himself so I could go take a nap.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You need some sleep.
And I heard you and Jake doing a mean takedown of all things Marvel and Star Wars, and he was passionate about it.
He is. We completely geeked out on all that stuff. Now, it's weird because of my advanced age. I've gone from, in the very early days of Star Wars, I probably knew everything about it and then some. I read the books. Mm-hmm. I went to the movie theater in the 70s, the theater, and Jake was blown away by that. He goes, "You saw Star Wars in the theater?" Like
so cool.
The New Hope, the 4, 5, 6, with my grandpa Tuno took me, my Italian grandpa, who probably had no idea what was going on, but he knew that I was a big Star Wars fan. So we went in the 70s. So Ryan, did you see any of them in the theater, or are you a zillion years younger than me?
Well, I saw so I would have missed. I would have been like 3 years old when the number 5 or 6 came out.
Okay.
The last of the originals.
Yeah.
So I didn't see them in the theaters, but I did see the 1, 2, and 3 in the theaters.
The next set.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It is a cool because just Jake was interested in. He said he was interested and he was like, well, what was the audience reaction when some of the big revelations happened?
Mhm.
You know, when you learned that if you hadn't read the books, right, which I had, so I kind of knew some of those things. You know, when Darth Vader says that he's Luke's father, and when you learned other things, or when Han Solo got frozen in the cryo chamber or whatever it is. See, I knew all that stuff back then. And then there was a period of time where I had to do grown-up stuff and go to college and law school and all that. And so I kind of got away from like that newer Star Wars stuff. So Jake told me that the cartoons are pretty cool.
Yes.
Clone Wars
Yep.
and Rebels. Have you watched any of those, Katie?
David and I are just starting on Clone Wars, and we're only 3 episodes in, but we started about 2 weeks ago. The last episode of The Mandalorian came out, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago. And that kind of got us onto a kick of, okay, let's watch episode 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 2, and then the Clone Wars happen, and then we'll watch episode 3. So that's what we're doing right now. It's very intense.
Ryan, you're the Star Trek guy, right? You and I
Yes.
talked Star Trek the other day, but you've watched Star Wars though, right? Most of it.
Sort
Some
of.
of
I
it, yeah.
honestly, it's just such a cultural institution that I feel like I'm having to participate in it now. And we are genuinely enjoying The Mandalorian. So I kind of want to get into it.
Well, good. So all 3 of us are doing So my daughter and I, we are on the last episode of season 1 of Mandalorian. So yeah, it's very good. So that's where we are. And I get this email from Disney Plus the other day, and it had like a chart of all the movies, right, with the pictures of the movie of the poster, right, and it had little side angles, like where you would plug in some of the one-offs,
The timeline.
right? Yeah, exactly. So Ryan, you want to take a guess, beginning to end, all the cartoons, everything, Rogue One, Solo, you watch beginning to end. How many hours does that take you?
I can't.
Oh man. I'm gonna say 100 hours. Does that seem really low?
You're close.
Am I?
You're close. Katie?
Oh my God. I would say 135 hours.
So if this was the DGS, I think Katie wins. I'm not sure how those rules go. 120 hours.
Okay.
You went over, but they don't play that rule, right? So
no, she would win. Yeah.
So I was listening to Tony and the gang play the games yesterday with Bo. It was very funny.
I was doing the same thing.
Yeah. And 120 hours. 120 hours from beginning to end. So it says 120 plus. So it's probably like 120
You know what? If you have to be quarantined, that might be your activity to do. If you have to be quarantined.
Especially this week when there's not. Well, I should say I didn't think there was anything going on, but we actually have breaking news to report today and all kinds of stuff. Let me see here. Okay. Robert's got some Star Wars stuff. Let me just tell you this real fast. Josh Hawley, the junior senator from the state of Missouri. Ryan, I know you and I are going to talk about this today. He has come out as the first sitting U.S. senator to declare he is going to object to the Electoral College certification. Ryan, what do you think about that?
I'm surprised that he's the first. I really am, because we've heard rumblings. I even was saying that I thought Tommy Tuberville was already pretty much saying that he was going to. But I mean, Josh Hawley, great. The reason that's so important is because now one major senator, like he's a public, there's senators that I don't know their names.
Correct.
I don't think Josh Hawley is one of those just because we live in Missouri. He's nationally known. He's now in the fray. And that means that the dam kind of has broken loose, and now a lot of more people can join that.
Don't you think Rand Paul is going to object?
I'm surprised he hasn't already. I figured he would, I'm sure he'll get on board.
Hasn't he been very vocal about all the hocus pocus that went on during the election cycle? I think he has been.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, he was very vocal during the Senate hearings. He was the main one that we heard from, and so surprised that he wasn't the first.
And where's Lindsey Graham going to be? Okay, is he gonna be? He's kind of like the never know where he's going to be wingman, right? Like someday he's the wingman to Donald Trump, and sometimes you can't. You're looking around the cockpit and he's gone. It's like, did he parachute out? He's not there. So that's going to be. You're right, Ryan. It's going to be fascinating to see if anyone else jumps in, you would think they would now. And so, yeah, we're going to continue to have breaking news throughout the New Year's weekend, which will begin tomorrow. We'll start tomorrow with New Year's Eve. We'll be here. We'll be here live. And I think, is Tony doing a live show tomorrow as well for the DGS with some music and stuff?
I believe he is doing a live show. It's not going to be the typical like big thing that he usually does. Gosh, you know what? Andrew's out there. He would know better than us.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him on the break.
Well,
what's
and
going on.
I know. I think I'm going to stick around. Tony asked me if I could do a segment with him on the DGS this week, so I think I'm going to stick around today as well. And so we'll get all the details on that. But I think they're doing music, but maybe they're having it pre-recorded or maybe even piped in somehow. I don't really know. We can do a lot of things these days with our technology. It's amazing. So, like for instance, right now there's nobody in the studio. It's just a couple floating heads. So yeah.
Yeah, we've been alive for 155 years and we're all just floating heads.
We didn't want to tell you all that. It's why we're here. We don't get coronavirus, so
right.
Yeah, because we're inanimate objects. But no, we are.
Let me
live.
tell you firsthand what
folks.
it was like living under Abraham Lincoln.
That's right. That's right.
Regale us of your stories.
So that's some of the big breaking news of the day. In addition, we still don't know exactly what's going to happen with the proposal that Nancy Pelosi politically punted over to the Senate. Total political stunt. And I love how Mitch McConnell, I don't know why Nancy Pelosi thinks she can outsmart Mitch McConnell. I mean, they've both been up there for 1,000 years, right? And they know each other's games. And so she's like, okay, fine, I'll do the $2,000 bill. I think she said it that way too. And then so she kicks it over to the Senate. And Mitch McConnell goes, he gets that little grin, right? That little turtle grin. And he's like, I'm getting out my cocaine Mitch now. Boom. And he goes, I see your $2,000 and I'll raise you a complete and utter obliteration of Section 230. Not a reform bill, he's going to wipe it off the books. And this made them light their hair on fire, a commission to examine voter fraud. I love it, And so he's like, you can just hear the mic drop, right? And then, okay. Exit stage right, or we can work on this. Whatever you want, whatever you want to do, And
let me ask you this question about that Mitch McConnell thing, because I saw the report on that, and some of that stuff I'm a big fan of, especially the 230 repealing Section 230. When he says he's going to start a commission to look at election fraud, do you think that he's possibly just running cover for himself and for his base, because that people are upset, Republicans especially are screaming about this, and that he's not doing anything about it? Do you think that he's just saying, okay, well, I'll do something, but it's not going to be, he's going to say, I did a commission and we looked into it, we didn't find much, just to sort of give you your bread?
Yeah, great question. I think it's maybe a little of both. I truly think if you listen to Mitch McConnell right after the election, he was pretty strident in the fact that I think he truly believes. I don't know if he's going to be one to throw in the whole objection. I don't think he's going to throw the penalty flag like Josh Hawley just did today. But Ryan, I do think he had a lot of questions about some of the funny business that went on around the country. And what he's saying is, hey, I want the funding to set up this commission. And I think he's kind of calling out the Democrats, saying, okay, you all think that this universal, I call it cheat by mail. Okay, universal vote by mail and early voting and late voting in some states and ballot harvesting. You all think that that's absolutely hunky-dory and fine? Okay, fine. Then put your cards on the table and let us look at them, and we'll investigate that, and we'll let you know if it's absolutely fine or not. So I think it's a little of both, Ryan. I do think he's heard the clarion call of Americans saying, I mean, look, there was a new poll. Ryan, you and I love polls.
Yep.
We gotta
love to hate them, but I love them.
Yeah, we do. Check this out. For anybody, for Ryan, for all the Lincoln Project crowd, the neocons, the Bill Kristols, the Trump haters who have been George Conway, Kellyanne Conway's husband, the Trump haters from before day one. Well, we're not going to go back, hopefully, to that old fuddy-duddy GOP. A poll released Monday by Rasmussen finds that 72% of likely Republican voters, that's important, believe the GOP should be more like Trump than the average Republican member of Congress. So, maybe this will fade, but a lot of that will depend, right, on whether or not Donald Trump chooses to fade, right? If he goes out and buys some fledgling news network and turns it into TNN and makes the story continue to be about him every day versus boring Joe Biden, well, number one, that would be awesome for us. And I think it would also be good for America. So.
Yeah, I think I just don't see it changing. I think it even would live beyond Trump at this point. Donald Trump could pass away January 21st. And I think the things that he's started and really the spotlight that he's shined on some things that otherwise, even if you had a conservative president, we probably wouldn't be talking about today. I mean, the biggest one being China. I mean, nobody was talking about the threat that China was until Donald Trump. And now we all know more than we would have, but we still probably don't know how deep it goes.
Yeah, you guys know, have you heard of Gordon Chang, the analyst who's on Fox a lot?
Not.
He's Chinese. Well, his parents, I believe, were born in China. He's a U.S. citizen, but he is, he's of direct Chinese lineage, and he is one of the most critical people about communist China because
I have seen him.
You've seen him, right? Yeah, real brilliant fella, and
super
just
smart.
loves. He's Chinese. He loves the Chinese people. Hates communist China, and people like that. You should listen to them, because they know everything they're talking. Just like when you get a Russian dissident or a defector from North Korea, somebody like that. Ryan, you okay?
I think I just fell and knocked down my wooden head.
I was like, Ryan's disembodied head just fell off and hit the ground.
There's a lot. I just dropped my phone. That's all it was.
I bring up Gordon Chang, and Ryan just can't stand it. He just can't handle
Chang?
it.
I have to look this guy up right
now. So anyway, he put out to somebody's point just now that somebody said, I forgot, I lost my train of thought. Gordon Chang basically said, there is stuff about the Wuhan coronavirus and China's disinformation campaign on it that is just now coming to light that should terrify all Americans. So yeah, Ryan, you were making that point. And I hope that narrative continues because China wants to own, literally and probably figuratively own the United States of America. We got a great guest coming up next, John Cooper from the Heritage Foundation, talking about the political shame, or talking about the shaming of politicians who say mandates for thee, but not for me. Heritage has a tracker on them. I love it. Robert, if you can hang on through this next interview, I'll get to you on the backside. Please do. John Cooper up next, then we'll continue with your phone calls and lots more Annie Frey Show. Tim Jones in for Annie all day today on 97.1 FM Talk.
So tonight I'm gonna cut it out and then
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Michael's Flooring Outlet online at michaelsflooringoutlet.com. One of the things that Michael has been so loyal with is support of 97.1 for so very long. He is a hardworking guy and like an American hero when it comes to running a business locally, starting something, finding something that you're good at and taking it and running with it and trying to expand it and provide that opportunity to so many people who have worked with Michael's Flooring Outlet over the course of time. And it's good to be able to talk to you about Michael's Flooring Outlet because being a small business, being somebody who's grown out of the ground here in the St. Louis area, it's great to be able to support people like that because you're supporting your neighbors. Michael's has wonderful opportunities right now on waterproof flooring. You can get a waterproof floor in both a hardwood finish and also a stone finish, which can kind of expand your opportunities in how you are going to be able to use that in your own home. If you're looking for flooring in the near future, please consider supporting Michael. He's done so much to support us in St. Charles County, West County, and Darien Prairie online at michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you have heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple on the station as the financial expert for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend on 97.1 FM Talk, and in case you miss any of those shows, on his podcast on radio.com. That's radio.com, and search Safe Money 97.1. So call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Holiday traditions fill our hearts with joy. None more than the Tree of Hope at SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. 97.1 is proud to celebrate the work done at Cardinal Glennon and privileged to honor the giving tradition. Together with the generous support of listeners, we can help fund programs that are crucial to patients and families who otherwise might not afford it. Giving to the Tree of Hope is a tradition filled with joy for all the patients we help. At 97.1, we know it's a joy to give as well. Thank you for giving today at glennon.org.
Selling your home creates a lot of questions, right? What's my home worth? Is now a good time to sell, or should I wait until after the holidays? Can all be overwhelming. That's why I trust and recommend my family and friends to Gloria Liu with GL International Realty, part of Coldwell Banker Premier Group. Hey, it's Mark Cox. I've been telling you about Gloria for a while now, and she is the real estate authority in St. Louis. She's got a proprietary marketing system that helps her sell for up to 3% more. That's $9,000 more on a $300,000 home because Gloria has the buyers. She recently sold a home in Eureka. The seller was thrilled to get several offers the first 24 hours and sold for way over asking price in just a week. She's also got a guaranteed sale program. Ask her about it. Get your home sold right with Gloria Liu. Here's her number, 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or go online at gloriahasthebuyers.com.
Mark Cox, Brian Kilmeade, Annie Frey, Dave Glover, Sean Hannity. Listen on the radio.com app and rewind whenever you'd like. 97.1 FM Talk. Experience the rewind at radio.com.
You give me heart attack. I didn't want to care, and then I saw you there. Been working like a dog.
Our next guest, so happy to have him on the show here during a holiday week. He is John Cooper, and he is the Senior Communications Manager, Davis Institute for National Security and Foreign Policy at Heritage, at the J Coop on Twitter, or you can check out everything Heritage at Heritage on Twitter, heritage.org. John, thanks for joining us on the show today. I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and I'll wish you and yours and everybody at Heritage a very Happy New Year.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, and same to you.
So, John, your article caught our attention over the last few days, and it's been something that has unfortunately been sweeping the land, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down, despite how many of them have been getting caught red-handed in the act. Your article entitled "Shaming Lockdowns for Thee, but Not for Me, Politicians," and folks, you can read that at heritage.org. John, what are your key takeaways that you would like folks to focus on as to this issue? Why is it important?
Yeah, so I mean, the major takeaway here is that we have to continue to be vigilant in holding our elected leaders and even those who are unelected, different executives and judges and other officials like that, holding them accountable for the actions that they take, and especially when those actions are in direct contradiction to the very things that they're telling the rest of us to do. We've heard over and over and over again through this pandemic, we're all in this together. And I think many of our leaders, unfortunately, think that you're all in this together, but we're not, because they have the political connections or the money or any kind of influence to maybe escape the mandates that they're forcing the rest of us to live by. And I think that the most important thing to take away from this is that impulse, that temptation is always going to be there for people in power, and that we as Americans have the right and the necessity to hold them accountable and to make sure that we continue to shine a light on that type of behavior.
Yeah, and John, the dangerous aspect of this is, if there is something serious that we as constituents or as citizens of a certain city or region or state, or as citizens of the United States of America, if there's certain things we should be taking seriously, John, don't we look to our leaders to be honest with us, right? And to let us know what those things are. But if we see them flaunting and not following the very things they're warning us about, then it makes us wonder, well, are they serious about this or not? And that could actually endanger society, couldn't it?
Exactly. And I think, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. If these folks cannot be honest and, faithful to these mandates and these restrictions, and, in some cases they're, like if it's even just something as basic as wearing a mask when you don't think anybody's watching. I mean, whether you like masks or not, it's pretty easy to put one on, right? And just kind of go about your business. But if they can't even be trusted to abide by something that basic and that ordinary or whatever you want to call it, how can we trust those people to handle much bigger matters? How can we trust that they're being truthful about, any number of other things? And when we don't have that confidence, it undermines our entire system, because our system is built on representative government. And if we can't trust our elected leaders and trust them to abide by the things that they've set for us to do, then that really is going to undercut and undermine our very unique and very successful system. And that's just a shame.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, John, doesn't it? If, we've been talking about the issues of lockdowns, and I'm starting to see more and more publications coming out from all over the globe. And the WHO kind of started this back in October, where they said, stop using lockdowns as your primary tool. In fact, lockdowns should be a tool of last resort. We're seeing now that, at least to the WHO's credit, they're no conservative think tank. To their credit, they've actually been willing to follow the data and the science throughout this pandemic. They've been watching it month by month, week by week, hour by hour, and they advocated against using lockdowns as primary tools, whereas it seems like governors like Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer up in Michigan, Andrew Cuomo in New York, here in Missouri, John, we have a county executive up in St. Louis who has got that county locked down while every other single county in the state is open. And so people start wondering, well, is anything they're doing, do they really mean this? When they say that, well, I'm doing this lockdown because I'm protecting the health and safety of our citizens, well, do you really mean that? And maybe you're not, because you're saying that we can't go to restaurants, but then we see you, we photograph you, we videotape you in a restaurant, right? Like Gavin Newsom did out in California.
Right. Gavin Newsom is a great example of that. And then there's also an example in our tracker that we published of an LA County executive who voted to ban, this was about a month ago, she voted to ban outdoor dining in Los Angeles. Against all science, no evidence that outdoor dining is dangerous whatsoever. If you're talking about following the science, literally that evening she was photographed outdoors at a restaurant. Got her one of her favorite restaurants, and she wanted to. The ban technically didn't go into effect for 2 or 3 more days, but it was such a dire need to ban outdoor dining that she voted to do that. But then 3 days before the ban was supposed to take place, she's caught doing it. So if we're really interested in following the science, you're absolutely right. Lockdowns, mass lockdowns, arbitrary lockdowns are not the answer. And if you look at California right now, they're one of the worst in the country in terms of, COVID cases and unfortunately many, many deaths out there. And they have some of the strictest lockdown policies in place. So it's definitely not true that stronger lockdowns, stricter lockdowns are more effective at reducing the spread of the virus. That's just not true.
Speaking to John Cooper of the Davis Institute for National Security and Foreign Policy at Heritage. He's at the J Coop on Twitter, at Heritage as well. The article we're referring to, Shaming Lockdowns for Thee, but Not for Me Politicians, can be found at heritage.org. And I'm looking at the article right now, and there is a tracker right here in the middle of the article. It's a very, very interactive article you have here, John. This is great. COVID hypocrisy, policymakers breaking their own rules. Got a little map of the United States there with all the hotspot policymaker breakers. And wow, there's more of them than I thought. That's really unfortunate. John, in the article here, Heritage Foundation President Kay James has a great quote that really caught my attention. She wrote earlier in the month, quote, shutting down entire states only worsens the economic devastation. And this is very important. And it seems like folks on the liberal left, John, they're not understanding this concept, where she says, so not only economic, but as well as the health and welfare of otherwise healthy people. The answer to defeating the coronavirus cannot be choosing between our health and our economy. John, the liberal left and some of these coastal elites who have had the most severe lockdowns that we've been referencing, they don't seem to understand that some of the things they're doing are in many cases creating more devastation to lives and livelihoods than the coronavirus itself.
You're absolutely right. And you hit the phrase on the head exactly right there, lives and livelihoods. This, it's been a really hard year for everyone in the country in just so many ways, but we can't forget that we're not in an either or situation here. We don't have to choose, and we can't choose between, saving lives and, saving livelihoods. We have to do both. We have an obligation to do both. And I think that there are great ways for us to go about doing that. And unfortunately, like you pointed out, these lockdowns and some of these other, very strict, mass school closures, all these things that are hurting our children, especially, those are not the way to go. And there are some ways, like I said, that we can move forward in helping resolve this crisis a little bit faster and more effectively. One example is, the FDA needs to approve rapid self-testing. These kits that exist, for about $1 to $5, you can test yourself at home, get the result right there. You don't have to send it anywhere. The FDA needs to approve those. Our team recently wrote about that at heritage.org. You can check that out. But it's a very simple way. People kind of like, they're testing in the NFL. You can get the test, get the result right there, and then exactly, oh, okay, I tested positive. I need to quarantine right now so I don't get anybody else sick. So there are a lot of creative and sensible ways to slow the spread of this disease without destroying economies, without destroying livelihoods, without endangering people. So that's really where our policymakers need to be focused. And if they were, there wouldn't be as many examples of this hypocrisy, because we wouldn't have so many of these draconian, lockdowns and restrictions in place.
And John, just to finish up, perhaps on a positive note, as we head to hopefully a more positive year, as you all wrap up, as you wrapped up your article here, talking about how, ultimately the people have the ability to change this and hold these people accountable. And John, do you see it as a bright spot that, in otherwise odd places like California and New York, we are seeing real live Americans standing up, whether it's Angela Marsden of the, she's now of the famous Pineapple Hill Saloon, or whether it's the fella on Staten Island, I believe the owner of Max Pub Bar and Grill. It's great to see, we tend to, those of us on the center right side of the spectrum, we kind of write those locations off as hopelessly lost. But hey, we got to remember there's Americans that do think like us there, right, John? And it's great to see them standing up, and hopefully they'll have an impact on their people around them. Don't give up hope. You can hold your elected leaders accountable.
Exactly. And I think at the end of the day, we are all Americans. And I think the overwhelming majority of Americans want for each other the ability to have a livelihood and a prosperous future for themselves and their kids. And, if we're all fighting for that together, put aside politics for a minute and just, if we are fighting for everyone's shared prosperity and well-being together, I think we'll be in a good place.
Well said indeed. Great way to wrap up 2020 and look towards a brighter year ahead. Folks, check out that article, Shaming, quote, Lockdowns for Thee, but Not for Me, Politicians at Heritage.org by John Cooper. John, again, have a happy new year to everybody, to you and to everybody at Heritage. We really appreciate so many of you lending your voices to us.
Absolutely. And happy new year to you as well.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Talk lines are open now at 314-241-9797 or 866-455-9797.
Don't wanna sleep tonight. You got me feeling right. I didn't know.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. In addition to heating and cooling, Air Comfort Service also offers indoor air quality, water heater, and AeroSeal duct sealing services. Get in your comfort zone with aircomfortservice.com. Annie here for Stewart's American Mortgage. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are going to be assessing a 0.5% fee on all conventional refis closing on or after December. You need to start the process with Stewart's American Mortgage right away. Stewie is closing loans in 2 to 3 weeks, but you don't have to wait. The bagel loan is back with a vengeance. Interest rates at historic lows, and a lot of people are taking cash out refinances while interest rates are so good. They can offer cash down with no contingency on new purchase. You can take advantage by calling today, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. The bagel loan at Stewart's American Mortgage will literally save you thousands of dollars when you purchase a home. And if you owe more than $200,000 $250,000 on your home and your interest rate is currently in the 4s, call Stewie today for the bagel loan. You're going to get a lower monthly payment or keep your payment and shave months or even years off the length of your loan. Google the bagel loan or call his personal cell, 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440, NMLS number 226715.
This week only, Edwards Carpet is having its most incredible sale of the year. In fact, the most incredible sale ever. Well, okay, I know, after months of holiday shopping and hundreds of commercials that sound just like this one does so far, where does Edwards get off saying most incredible sale ever this week only, just days after Christmas, when everybody else is telling you to drop everything and run to their incredible sale? Well, if you're even remotely thinking about new carpeting and you've been waiting for a big enough sale, then move back from your radio because here it comes. Now through January 10th, Edwards top-of-the-line 60-ounce, 15-year warranty carpet that normally sells for $7.99 a square foot is now just $4.99 a square foot. Plus a thick 7/16-inch 8-pound pad free, installed free. And this week only, interested now, we'll take up your old carpet and move your furniture free. There. If you don't think that's an incredible sale, you must have had some kind of holiday.
Open New Year's Day.
Come on down to Edwards Carpet Stores.
Hey guys, Glover here. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the DGS.
97.1 FM Talk is on the radio and online on your smart speaker, on your phone, and streaming anytime at 971talk.com. Find it all at radio.com. 97.1 FM Talk.
Riding high through the mountains, climbing, twisting, turning further from my home. Young, like a new moon rising, fierce through the rain and lightning.
Democrats were supposed to flip the Senate and didn't. Supposed to flip state legislatures, not a one. And they lost seats in the House in a year that was so much about making people aware of racism. The share of minority votes went down. The message to Democrats from so much of the country seems to be, we don't like Trump, but we still can't bring our vote for you. Liberals can either write off half the country as irredeemable, or they can ask, what is it about a D next to a candidate's name that makes it so toxic?
Wow. Bill Maher there trashing the Democrats. Yeah, that's a way to upside down and in 2020 on the proper note, I would think.
I cannot believe that.
And it's Katie, as you know, that was I sent that to you earlier. We got a couple other clips from it, but it was a long monologue. It was like 5 minutes long.
It was 8 minutes and 30 seconds.
And he just goes off.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, he goes off on social justice warriors. He goes off on woke cancel culture. He goes off on how he says Democrats, when did you forget that politics in the United States of America is a binary system? And if you have 5,001 different special interests, you're eventually going to start basically pissing off everyone and you're going to satisfy no one and you'll stand for nothing. It was amazing. It was like it was a speech that like Rand Paul could have given or Donald Trump even.
I think it's very important to know too that somebody that is just, he lays it out. I'm a Democrat. I hate Trump. I hate his policies. I'm not big on the GOP. He says that all the time. So it's very important that someone like that comes out and says the messaging from the Democratic Party, my party that I'm loyal to, is all wrong and has had it all wrong for the last 4 years. That's why we didn't see a big victory. That's why we didn't see a blue wave. We might have, Joe Biden possibly could be the president-elect, but we didn't win the Senate like we thought we would. And I think that's wonderful because people are looking at him a lot as a news person, which is crazy.
Right.
But they are.
Right.
And
instead of a comedian.
Totally.
But he's gotten pretty serious in the last few years because he sees an attack on his profession.
Yeah.
Is what this is really all about, which is fine. Actually, you know what? I take that back with it. You could flip his voice out on what he just said with Tucker Carlson. And it'd be the same speech, right?
Same message.
Right? Yeah.
Well, what's amazing is that everything, and I haven't heard the full 8 minutes, but what I just heard there is true about there being I don't know if you want to call it a red wave. It kind of was, but nobody's talking about it. If we knew that Donald Trump was going to be inaugurated on January 20th, that's all anybody would be talking about.
Mhm.
But everybody's so focused on Trump and him still, most people have already written him off as he's done. I haven't. Some of us haven't. But most people have said, Joe Biden won, therefore this was a blue victory, but it really wasn't.
Well, Ryan, you as a consultant to Senator Josh Hawley, you guys both haven't written him off. So, yeah.
Well, I mean,
he
we
finally,
text
finally
and
took
we
your
call.
advice. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just it's only late night calls, and it's just kind of like, hey, what are you doing?
Asks you
And then
for
I
advice on
slip in
policy.
political advice, but really, it's just personal.
You can't talk about most of it. Yeah.
Right.
Let me get to Robert real fast. He's locked now. Oh, I don't know what I did. Did I do something wrong there? Or is he maybe he jumped off? Oh, darn it.
Yep.
Robert, I'm sorry. I was just going to take your call.
Sorry about that.
As you can see by I'm not play acting here. Robert, if you want to call back, Robert had some Star Wars stuff he wanted to share with us, which is fine because we're like in holiday week here. So, Robert, if you want to give us a holler back, 314-241-9797, 866-455-9797. Madonna has a question here. Go right ahead. You are on the air.
Hi, I met you at some of our Republican Party meetings. You're a wonderful man. You're very intelligent. So I have a question for you. I just learned this morning, listened to Brian Kilmeade's show, another one of my buddies, and a gentleman called in and said, with the Speaker of the House election up right now, the Constitution does not require that the election be to an incumbent. So what about Kevin McCarthy getting that position?
Yeah, I mean, Madonna, in fact, it goes even further than that. The Speaker of the U.S. House, just like the Speaker of the Missouri House, guess what? You don't even have to be an elected official. Anybody can be elected. So they could. Madonna, I don't think there's enough completely disaffected Democrats yet. If the margin was a little tighter, if it was like 2 votes or so, I think it might be a possibility. They might have had enough of Pelosi at this point. But I don't think they'll do it this time. But they could. They absolutely could. You're right. They could choose whoever they wanted. So thanks for calling the show. I really appreciate it very much. I really appreciate hearing from you. Robert's back. Hey, Robert. Good afternoon. Go right ahead, my friend. Sorry to cut you off earlier.
Oh, that's all right. How are you today?
Doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm golden. Thank you very much. Before I get to my Star Wars comment, I just want to say I've been listening, and I wouldn't remember how long I've listened to this station, other than when I started listening to 97.1, Dave Glover was giving free legal advice.
That goes back, Robert. You and I go back. Yeah, I remember Dave's first few shows in the very, very beginning. So yeah, probably it's over 20 years because he's celebrating his 20-year anniversary.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've listened to this time slot with a lot of different hosts, and I can tell you that now that Ingram and Hannity and all the big names aren't in the lineup anymore, I enjoy this station a lot more. It's nice having homegrown talent, people that I can actually relate to.
Nice. We appreciate that. That's a real thing, Robert. Live local radio. You can't emulate it. You can't fake it. You either do it on your stations or you don't. So we appreciate you. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you. That being said, talking about Star Wars, my grandpa took me to the Carney Drive-In in Ironton in 1977 to see Star Wars.
Yep. That's when it came out. Yeah.
And when I hear my younger friends talk about Star Wars, it's like, I saw Star Wars in 77. Which one in 77? Well, back when it was just Star Wars.
There
wasn't 10 chapters or whatever there is now. We went and saw Star Wars, and that was the only Star Wars movie out until the next couple came out. And I don't think I've watched one since the first 3, maybe. But, it kind of gives away my age. But just then I know I went a long ways to stay very little, but I rather enjoyed that. We got to talking about that. And it's like, I remember when that came out. When you said you saw it in the theater,
it was a whole different ball game when that came out, Robert, wasn't it? It was way ahead of its time with they didn't even have computer generation back then, but it was kind of on the beginnings of that, of doing things that looked like they were really happening in space. So it was really amazing. So yeah,
Lucas did it all with models in that originally. Didn't
yes, he
did. It was all actually mocked up.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
All the stop action
CGI,
stuff.
I don't like the CGI as much as I like the old models because they can make anything happen with computers, and it makes it seem a lot less realistic.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it's less fun or something.
Well, I think we have a lot of nostalgia in us. Robert, thanks so much for calling the show. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you chiming in today. And you all have a happy new year as well. Let me see here. Chris wants to chime in on some of the election stuff. Chris, good afternoon. You're on the Annie Frey Show, and you're on the air. Go right ahead.
Hey, I appreciate taking my call. Thank you. Big, huge Annie fan. Hey, got a question for you. 20 years law enforcement, and I by far am not a genius. But, okay, the video out of Georgia that showed that lady in the blonde hair or the blonde dreads or ponytail, whatever.
Yep.
My point is this, and your call screener brought up a good point. Yes, there are investigations going. But if everything else gets leaked and everybody does all these documents under perjury and Sean Hannity can't say any other word other than perjury. But anyway, what I'm getting at is this. Why isn't any of the bad people being interviewed? We've got all the good people doing documents and swearing to them. And we've got video. We've got the truck driver. I'm not going to rehash it. But you would think that if you call on the carpet the soldiers and, you put the screws to them, they're going to give up who told them to do this. An example, that lady in the video. She looked like she was running the show. Have we talked to her? Why isn't any of that being leaked?
Great questions, Chris. And I'm just going to tell you, I don't know the answer. A lot of people, Chris, don't want to know the answers. I think that's a lot of it. It's a very valid point. Hey, I appreciate you calling the show very much. Hey, you have a happy new year. Chris brings up very valid points. It's the same, Chris, you know what? I would say it's the same reason why a lot of the courts did not want to rule in an evidentiary fashion on the grand majority of these lawsuits. The courts, they don't want to go down that path. Everybody is so scared to death that, Donald Trump is such a lightning rod that, oh my God. I mean, can you imagine? So here's the thing. We conservatives, we people on the center right side of the spectrum, we're eventually, whatever the result is, we're going to accept it and move on. We're not going to burn things down and break windows and blow up cars like stuff I saw in D.C. After Donald Trump got inaugurated, they burned down parts of Washington, D.C.
So
Literally.
wild.
It was unbelievable. We rounded a corner. We were walking to visit my cousin, and I was with my family, my two little kids 4 years ago. And they're all of a sudden the SWAT team marched past us because a car had been set on fire and they were smashing windows. You know what was weird? They were smashing windows of a Starbucks. You would think they'd realize that that's on their side.
Yeah. Starbucks is
Those are
fine.
Those are their people. It's where they congregate. It's where they have their meetings.
Yeah, that's their meeting here.
It's WHQ.
Let's meet at the Starbucks, and we'll go out and we'll smash up a Starbucks.
Yeah, nothing against Starbucks, but I mean, come on. I'm just hippy dippies,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, no, Chris, I think a lot of people, they either don't want to know or they just want to avoid. Nobody wants to get anybody upset. But we had to deal with Russian collusion for 4 years.
Yeah.
The hyperventilating on that was unbelievable, and it's really unfortunate. Well, I will say this, Chris. Chris, the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is people have been prosecuted and found guilty of voter fraud and electoral fraud. If you go to heritage.org, they have a database that's now got close to 1,500 instances. And these are the ones they've been able to find, which means there's probably tens of thousands more that either have not been found or have not been prosecuted. There's nearly 1,500 cases of voter fraud on heritage.org's website. They created a database to track it. That's how widespread it is. So that doesn't get reported, though. Every time it happened, remember there was a Pennsylvania mailman who got convicted of voter fraud earlier this year. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah, I do, but vaguely.
It gets reported for like 5
Mm-hmm.
seconds, and then it's gone, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what's so frustrating is, and I think that's what Robert was just saying, if I'm getting his name right, but that there's so many of these instances, like that they come out for 5 minutes and then they go away and nobody ever follows up on them. And I keep thinking about the one you just mentioned that made me think of another one, which was, I think, 270,000 votes. A guy said he drove a postal van from New York to Pennsylvania.
Yes.
But there's 1,000 stories like that we've all heard in the last 2 months. That is anybody looking into these things. And it's frustrating too on the other end, outside of just the law enforcement aspect, the courts. You'd think that Trump has had a lot of appointees up and down the docket or across the country, that some of these cases would have worked to his judges or conservative judges that wouldn't be afraid to take these on. But even they seem reluctant to take these cases on.
Isn't it interesting, Ryan, that you're right? So many people that you would think would have had Trump's back or would have been willing to, like, okay, let's get to the bottom of it. If it doesn't exist, let's dig in deep and show it one way or the other.
Yeah.
This was like the biggest hot potato I've ever seen in American history, that no one wanted to touch the stove.
I guess my question is, and it might be a stupid one, but why would the courts be afraid to mess with this? Why would the courts, which is like the seeker of truth in our country, why would they be afraid to touch something like this if it can better our elections down the line? If this is something that we can figure out, and if the election fraud, which we know is real, why wouldn't we want to see this and hash it out so that we can make our elections better and safer?
Because courts, even liberal activist judge courts, they don't want to get involved in elections.
Okay.
They don't want to get involved in politics, especially the courts where the judges have been appointed, where they haven't been elected. They just don't want to. It's like touching the third rail. And believe it or not, as many things has been blown up in our country on norms and morals and just things that, rules, regulations, and customs. That's kind of one of the things the courts just don't want to touch. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying they run away from it. A perfect example is here in Missouri. Every 10 years we have redistricting, and there's a bipartisan commission set up to do redistricting. And if they can't make a decision, it gets kicked to the courts. And it generally always gets kicked to the courts, and the courts hate drawing the districts. They don't want to do it. Thankfully for them, they figure, okay, it's once every 10 years, we'll put up with it. But they just do not like when it comes in, because they're judges. They don't know, most of them they don't know the politics of districts. They just don't get it. A lot of them try to stay away from it. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not judges who lean to the right or lean to the left or have a conservative or liberal philosophy. But as far as raw politics, right? Things like elections, drawing district lines, they just don't like to get near it. So, hey, we'll take some more phone calls when we come back. I think we can. Yeah, we can, actually. So, Paul, others, stay on the line. 314-241-9797, 866-455-9797. This is Tim Jones in for Annie Frey all day today, and I'll be back tomorrow for New Year's Eve as well at 97.1 FM Talk.
This great unknown, and I don't want no one to cry, but tell them if I don't survive, I was born free. I was born.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money, heard every Saturday morning at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Nearly every week, our team meets with clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion on your retirement plan today. When you work with us at the ClearPath Wealth Management Group, we're committed to providing you with guidance that's in your best interest, no exceptions. To request your free consultation, contact us at bobstockdale.com. That's bobstockdale.com. Again, that's bobstockdale.com. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Regardless of where you're at in life, a college degree is more than a piece of paper, more than a line on a resume. It should take you further than just your next job. Missouri Baptist University takes you places other online programs can't, because MBU opens minds and hearts as well as doors. With 15 online bachelor's and graduate degree programs, MBU offers progressive, faith-based education that meets the highest standards and the demands of your busy schedule. At MBU, you'll do more than work that checks the boxes. You'll hone your thinking and leadership skills and develop the kind of work ethic employers want and entrepreneurial success demands. Are you ready for something more? Find your light at Missouri Baptist University. Visit mobap.edu and shine on.
Find your light in 2021 through Missouri Baptist University. Missouri Baptist University is now waiving standardized tests for spring and fall 2021 admission. Online undergraduate and graduate programs begin January 11th. Learn more at mobap.edu and shine on.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's a wet Wednesday across St. Louis. Periods of rain today. Windy, 55 for the high, but we'll be dropping into the upper 30s by the time the sun goes down this evening. Tonight, light snow and cold, maybe a dusting, a half inch in a couple of spots. It's not much, but there should be a little light snow around, 25 for the low. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Come see the only light display where it always snows. Lot of Lights. An all-new state-of-the-art drive-through Christmas light display, now through January 2nd. Lot of Lights is a mile-long drive-through with holograms, lasers, and projection mapping at the St. Charles Family Arena. And it's the area's newest Christmas tradition. Enjoy the season. Visit Lot of Lights in St. Charles. More information at KFTK FM Florissant, K254CR St. Louis, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk, a radio.com station.
Another effort to overturn the election. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. President Trump is again asking the Supreme Court to overturn election results.
In the latest legal challenge to the results of the November 3rd election, President Trump, in a legal filing, is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to reverse Wisconsin's high court and allow Republicans who control the legislature to decide how to cast the state's 10 electoral votes. The Trump campaign is asking the high court to decide whether more than 50,000 absentee ballots in Milwaukee and Dane counties were wrongly counted. President-elect Joe Biden carried Wisconsin by about 21,000 votes. Wisconsin's slate of electors has already cast its votes for Biden.
Fox's John Decker in Washington. An audit of more than 15,000 signatures on absentee ballot envelopes in one Georgia county found no fraudulent votes. President Trump lost to President-elect Joe Biden by about 12,000 votes in the state. State and federal officials say there's no indication of any widespread voter fraud that would change the outcome of the election. Two more Louisville police officers involved in a raid that killed Breonna Taylor are likely to lose their jobs.
Detective Joshua James, who sought the drug warrant of Breonna Taylor's apartment in March, and Detective Miles Cosgrove, who reportedly returned gunfire from inside the apartment, killing Taylor, have both received pre-termination letters from Louisville's interim police chief, Yvette Gentry. If the terminations are upheld, they'd be the second and third officers to be fired in the case. Detective Brett Hankinson was fired in June and indicted on wanton endangerment charges for shooting into a neighboring unit.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. Two B-52 bombers from North Dakota have flown over the Persian Gulf in response to what U.S. officials say are signs Iran may be planning attacks against American or allied targets in the Middle East. It's the second such mission this month. America is listening to Fox News.
Right now, Allstate has almost as many ways to save as there are types of music. Save for being a new customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent to get a quote. Find out how much you can save today. Allstate. Now that should be music to your ears.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Smithbrook, Illinois.
Newsmax TV. Everyone's talking about it. 30 million people are watching Newsmax for real news on President Trump, Biden, the election, and more. And make sure you vote in Newsmax's national poll asking if President Trump should concede. Just text VIRUS to 39747 and vote instantly. That's VIRUS to 39747. Watch Newsmax for great shows on major cable systems and free on Roku, YouTube, smart TVs, and more. Vote about Trump. Text VIRUS to 39747 today.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's been a gloomy day across the St. Louis area. And now as we go through the afternoon, you can already tell the drop in temperature has happened. Temperatures in the upper 30s now. It's windy with periods of mainly light rain mixing with some wet snow from time to time. Tonight, the light snow continues, a dusting to a half inch, 25 for the low. Not much in the way of moisture on Thursday, 35 degrees. Second storm Thursday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Let's take a minute to talk about your furnace and whether or not you've had any maintenance done to it or whether you've had it tuned up lately. This is not the first thing on your mind. It might not even be the last thing on your mind. You might not have even considered it until I'm bringing it up to you right now. Well, that's why I'm trying to save you the stresses of having completely forgotten about it, so that when something goes wrong with it, it's going to be a lot more costly than if you had the general maintenance done on the furnace to begin with. Reach out to Air Comfort Service at 314-513-0091 and schedule a furnace tune-up today. You can get a safety inspection as well for your home or for your business. They do both residential and commercial, and they're available, like I said, at 314-513-0091. A tune-up on your furnace is regular maintenance that heating equipment manufacturers recommend annually. So if you haven't had it done annually, or if ever, whatever, I'm not here to judge, reach out to them at 314-513-0091 and get that scheduled today. aircomfortservice.com.
I'm Thomas Helbig, founder of the Retirement Advisory Group. When I meet my clients for the first time, many of them have worked over 90,000 hours and have built up a life savings. Their question is, what can I do with this money so we can live comfortably the rest of our lives? Not only do we set up a strategy to protect your retirement nest egg from market losses, but we build your own personalized structured income plan that will generate you an income the rest of your life. We put you in control of your money. You've earned it, and it's my job to make sure you enjoy it. Let our team show you how you can have the retirement of your dreams. Call me now for a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review, and you'll get a copy of my second edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. This book covers everything I teach in my live educational events. Call me now at 314-993-9494 or online at retirementkey.com. Once again, that's 314-993-9494 or online at retirementkey.com.
Coping 19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
Managing today's uncertainty can be overwhelming. Focus on what you can control, even if it's little things, like your before bedtime ritual.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Critical thinking for critical times. The free exchange of ideas. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Download the radio.com app and stream the station wherever you go. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I don't want to use this bill for the national security and for the men and women in uniform as part of the strategy. It is going to pass. I can tell you, knowing the Senate rules as I do, it is going to pass. Let's put the pressure on Senator McConnell to call the measure that passed the House for $2,000. It got a bipartisan roll call there. I think it's enough votes to pass here. We'll never know till we try. So I'd say to Bernie, with you on the goal of $2,000, let's not do it at the expense of the Department of Defense.
Well, welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. It is December 30th, second to last day of the year, 2020, 1:07 p.m. in the Heartland. That was Illinois Senator Dick Durbin, who I cannot stand. I bet Annie can't stand Dick Durbin either.
No, and neither can Ryan.
I just cannot stand Dick Durbin. However, right there, I play that because there, Ryan, is the perfect example of the civil war that the media rarely ever lets you see that is existent in today's Democrat Party. Old school, cranky old curmudgeon liberals like Dick Durbin versus, well, he's old too, but progressive, far left-wing liberals like Bernie Sanders.
So are we in a situation where Democrats are fighting over this and Republicans are fighting over this, and therefore there's going to be a coalition of Democrats and Republicans? Or where do we stand here?
Yeah, Ryan, we've got a weird conglomeration of things going on right now, and I can't tell you how this is going to turn out. Well, I think in a way, Mitch McConnell may just be trying to kill the whole thing, right? Because he said, I'm not giving you an up or down vote on the $2,000 checks unless the other things that Donald Trump mentioned are part of the mix. And that is a revision or a full scale repeal of Section 230 regarding the big tech companies and electoral integrity, electoral reform, Commission on Electoral Reform, which, the Democrats aren't going to vote for that. So, Ryan, yeah, I mean, I don't know that Mitch is going to allow an up or down vote on the $2,000 checks. So, and then what happens to the defense bill? Right. I don't know. It's
there's so many bills that are trying to go through right now and they were going to fly through and nobody was going to look at them at all. I understand that Trump, went through and redlined some of these things. Maybe you can shed some light on this, that he used an old 1974 like Defense Act or something and redlined some of these things so that they at least won't take place for a while. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I don't know if he did the line item veto on that. I'm not sure. I don't think presidents have line item veto power on the budget, which wouldn't that solve a lot of our problems if they did? Because then we could get rid of some of these things that are, gender studies in Pakistan and so on, and fish hatchery investigations in New York or Oregon or I don't even know. It's just there's so much crap in these budgets. If you want to read about some of it, just pull up Rand Paul's annual Festivus report, right? Yeah. So, they still have to override his veto though, Ryan. They still have to override that veto on that bill because he vetoed it. So he just flat out vetoed the national. So we're talking about two different things, folks. We're talking about the National Defense Authorization Act, which the president vetoed. The House overrode the veto and sent it to the Senate. That's being held up by Bernie Sanders. That's what Dick Durbin was just complaining about, two guys from the same party. Sanders says, I'm not going to allow an override on the defense bill until we get the $2,000 done. But on the third hand, which we need right now, Mitch McConnell has said, well, you're not going to get a vote on the $2,000 unless you also vote on a repeal of Section 230 and establishing a commission on electoral integrity. So we're at an impasse, which is what the Senate is famous for and loves to do. They love to impasse everything in the Senate.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. It's a weird time. It's a weird place to be because as a conservative, I'm rooting against spending government money and wanting the economy to just reopen. But if somebody sends me a $2,000 check, what am I going to do with it? I'm not going to throw it away. So you feel hypocritical, fighting these things and then accepting the money. But at the same time, you're like, I'm not necessarily worried about the time being. We're worried about long term. Are we just normalizing the government sending everybody money all the time now? Because there's a lot of people who are going to start to think, well, anytime I'm in trouble, why isn't the government just sending me money?
Ryan, isn't it just like the government? You started off with proposing the most simple solution that would solve this entire thing. You started off by saying, I just want them to reopen the country. I just want them to reopen America, reopen the businesses. If they reopen the businesses, Ryan, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now because we wouldn't need to be sending everybody money because their businesses are closed down. So leave it to the government to take what would be how about where are all the Republican senators and congressmen screaming from the rooftops of Capitol Hill every day saying all you governors and mayors and here in the county of St. Louis, county executives like Sam Page, open up your plate, open yourself up. Let your people go, right? Let your people be free. Open up your businesses. Why aren't we hearing that every single day? Now, the federal government doesn't have the power to do that, but they can, you know what? They've got a lot of power through the persuasion of the purse. They control a lot of money that goes to local. And you know how all these local governments are demanding all these bailouts, despite the fact they really don't need them.
Sure.
If you look at their budgets, they actually did pretty well. I would say next year, although I guess hopefully the Senate, hopefully we still got if I'm in the Senate, I'm not sending local and state governments like St. Louis County another dime until Sam Page stops locking down our restaurant industry. I'm just not doing
it. That's what they're going to do especially if they have the Senate. If they've got 50 votes in the Senate plus a possible Kamala Harris, they are going to bail out. They're going to spend like there's no tomorrow for the next at least 4 years.
That's the problem. Let me get to Mike. He's been holding on for a while about the he was weighing in on our voter fraud issue. Mike, good afternoon. You're on the Annie Frey Show and you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey, so yeah, I was just chiming in on it because I was saying that it seems that the messages is kind of conflicting. When everyone is saying that the Republicans won seats, they gained seats in the Senate and in the Congress, but yet and still maintaining the saying that there was voter fraud or the election is being stolen because Trump lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say and remind people that, in 2016, Trump said the election was rigged before he won. Trump lost he said that 3 million votes were stolen or whatever from California, and turned out that was false. And in this election, he's saying again that this election was rigged and this election was stolen and everything. So it's like, we have to, as an adult, we have to say like, listen, being a sore loser, you lost. There's not fraud. William Barr said that there was no voter fraud. Other people coming out who are Republicans are saying there is no fraud. And he's only asking and saying that there's fraud in states that he lost or counties that he lost. As if fraud can only happen in, where Democrats are. That there's no possibility of, anyone else possibly doing this at all. And it makes our democracy look bad. It's not good for the country.
Well, yeah, Dave, I appreciate your points. I think the problem is a lot of people don't understand how Joe Biden could underperform not only Donald Trump, but Hillary Clinton in almost every bellwether county in the state, except for 4 major cities. And I think some people are saying there wasn't widespread voter fraud, but there was targeted fraud in those 4 cities. So I appreciate your points. There is a lot of nuance to this. No, I appreciate you, Dave, calling the show. There's a great article in the Federalist. I'm going to try to find it. It was basically, 5 or 6 weird things about the election. I'll find it in the next break and then I'll talk about it. But it has to do with the fact that, I understood the points that the gentleman was making there. But let's remember that Donald Trump's arguments in 2016 were quickly overcome by a hoax that we lived under and were yelled and screamed at about for the ensuing 4 years. And I would ask him about that. Why did the Democrat Party and the media pursue something that had zero evidence? Ryan, you've been talking about specific incidences this afternoon about electoral fraud and anomalies and other issues like that. And I know one of the specific things that sticks out in my head was what I just mentioned. How in the world does it, to the caller's point, Republicans won just about everywhere else. So how did Joe Biden win when he underperformed not only Donald Trump this year, he underperformed Hillary Clinton's performance in 2016 in every bellwether state, and digging down even further in every bellwether county, except 4 major urban cities where it looks like the vote total was like the score was simply run up in whatever way they needed to run it up. And I'm talking about Atlanta, I'm talking about Philadelphia, I'm talking about Detroit, and I'm talking about Milwaukee. And by tipping the balance in those 4 states, you tip those 4 states into. You don't have time, even if I put on my big giant, Ryan, if I put on my monster tinfoil hat, I can't even make the argument that you would have had the time, the effort, or the money, not even George Soros, to commit voter fraud in all 50 states for everybody. That's an impossible undertaking. But you can easily target 4 cities that have been known for their corruption. There's jokes written about the corruption of the Philadelphia Democratic machine. I mean, come on, let's be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, and Chicago has been one of those cities that for a long time they've said. Detroit is one of them, and that's a swing county state right now too. I mean, I would throw Arizona, I would throw Phoenix into the mix this year, just because of all the problems Maricopa County has encountered. That they won't audit anything. What's one of the frustrating things is that these legislatures and private citizens are trying to just get audits done of these counties, and they won't audit them. So you're right, Tim, when you say when people talk about widespread voter fraud, it really looks more like it was targeted voter fraud in these counties and in these cities where they had complete control because they knew everybody was on board. Of course, that's the way you do it. You wouldn't do it in an area where you have a bunch of Republicans who wouldn't play along.
And even if you don't buy that it was fraud, if you say, well, but they had the right to count all these ballots as they counted them, well, then I say, no, they did not. And that's why I wish the Texas case had been adjudicated on the merits, because I will argue that case to you till the cows come home. You know, like a lot of people have said, there's so much smoke out there. How do you find the fires underneath all that when you're trying to say, you know, there was voter fraud here, there was voter fraud there was these truckloads of ballots, there was the lady with the suitcases, there was all. Well, it's a lot easier. And we can continue to argue and debate that. And isn't it amazing, Ryan, that we still are? Look, you can't say that there was nothing to see here when we are still having valid arguments about this election 2 months later. And if you don't like any of that, okay, put all that aside in the corner. I will tell you without a doubt that those 4 states, those 4 cities are in 4 states that changed their election laws, not in the constitutional proper way of the legislature rewriting the laws. Let's take Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, the state legislature drafted a set of election laws to deal with COVID-19 and to deal with the crisis. And they put in early voting provisions, and they put in absentee voting provisions. And then the ACLU or whoever came in and contested that. It went all the way through the court system in Pennsylvania, went all the way up to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court, which is run by a bunch of liberal activist judges. Okay, fine. They didn't like what the legislature did. Okay, fine. Then you know what they should have done? They should have said the laws that the legislature wrote were unconstitutional. Legislature, you have to do them all over again. Well, the court realized there was no time to have that done. So the Pennsylvania Supreme Court rewrote the election laws themselves. How can you then say that that state's contest was lawful when it was based on unlawful election laws that were drafted by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania and not the legislature? Does that make sense? Right?
Yeah, that's what's so frustrating is because we were just saying in the last segment how, well, courts typically don't want to intervene in elections. Well, wait a minute now. Yeah. Pennsylvania.
They will get involved in election laws. They will get involved in election laws. These are right. 2 different things. They did them wrong in those 4 states. In other states, it wasn't the Supreme Court. I think in Michigan, the Secretary of State, a Democrat, intervened and changed things about the laws. You can't do that. Other state actors besides the legislature can't change the laws. And so in those 4 states, you had other state actors other than the legislature changing the laws and applying them to this election system that we had this year.
So is that why other states were allowed to say we're suing?
Yes.
Okay, because the big hubbub that I kept hearing for that week was like, well, what about local, like states' rights, states' rights? And I mean, I didn't have the answer for it because I'm definitely a listener in this point of view. I am listening to experts that can deep dive into this subject. But like, what is the retort when someone's like, well, what about states' rights? Why are other states suing?
So Texas is saying, and the other states that joined the 19 other state attorney generals that joined the lawsuit, they're saying, why should we be subjected to what you think was the outcome of this election of the presidential election when we conducted our state election lawfully and you conducted yours unlawfully? Why are we therefore bound to a president that we lawfully elected and that you did not? Gotcha. So that's their argument. Gotcha. Because all the states, Katie, great question. They stand on equal footing with each other. It's like the states consider the states like the Senate. So they're basically 50 states. It's like 50 senators. They're all one and equal to each other, no matter what party they are, no matter if they're red or blue, no matter how big or small they are. That was the original design behind the republic. Unfortunately, we've allowed the federal government to become so big that many people believe the federal government is now the boss of the states. That's backwards.
Gotcha.
That's not how the founders set it up. But Ryan, we've spent so much time and money and effort giving the federal government so much power over the decades that's how they act these days.
Yeah. And the standing thing, I know we got to get to a break here, but the standing thing, when you're talking about the candidate who was on the ballot, President Trump joined that lawsuit with Texas and 19 other states, I think it was, that they say that there's no standing for that. That's unbelievable. And hopefully what we've seen there is that there's been enough backlash that if another case of that magnitude within the next couple of weeks gets to the Supreme Court, my hope is that at least the 5 justices that we believe would stand up for constitutional rights will.
Yeah, and to say like Don Lemon of CNN says, and like a lot of other liberal commentators, that there's nothing to see here. The fact that we just debated that for yet another 20 minutes on top of the other 20 minutes we've debated this many, many times, and Annie has over the last 2 months, and Mark Cox and on the Dave Glover show, Jeff Smith and I have gone back and forth for like the past 8 weeks. There is a there. I'm sorry. And you're just going to have to get over it because you told me for 4 years that Donald Trump was a Russian asset. So I can have some doubts then about this election. And to say otherwise is complete hogwash. Randy Tobler will join us when we come back. The good doctor, let's weigh in with him and see what he's got to say as we head into 2021 at Randy Tobler, MD. Dr. Randy Tobler joins us next on The Annie Frey Show.
You won't remember, I'll be the one. You won't forget.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Stewart's American Mortgage, it's a place you can go. Stewie is a guy you can go see, you can talk to on the phone, who you can trust. And that is important for me to tell you because I trusted him myself with my mortgage refinance. And it was everything that I have told you, everything I expected and more. When you do a bagel loan refinance with Stewie, you're not going to pay fees to go through that process. They don't exist. That's why he calls it the bagel loan, because the bagel looks like a zero and you pay zero in fees that other lenders will charge you for. So if you haven't looked at your mortgage in a while and you're thinking about doing a refinance, it's a fantastic time to do that. Why? Because rates are ridiculously low. Grab them while they last. Here's the number to call, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Stewie's waiting for your phone call, your text. Reach out to him. Tell him you heard about him on the Annie Frey Show and get the process started now. He'll customize a solution that is just catered to you. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
Since 1929, Shane Company's been part of over 1 million perfect proposals. An engagement ring is a symbol of your natural love, a love that's pure, unique, and rare. Choose a center stone that will reflect that. At Shane Company, all of our diamonds, rubies, and sapphires are natural, rare stones, sourced directly from suppliers worldwide who share our dedication to the highest ethical standards. Because we have the largest selection of natural stones in every price range, and each stone has its own unique characteristics, it'll be easy to find a center stone that's perfect for the two of you. Visit our store or go online to create a one-of-a-kind ring that's as genuine as your love story. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business, Shane Company and shaneco.com.
Donations to the Tree of Hope support the areas of greatest need at SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. Go to glennon.org and let them know that 97.1 told you the Tree of Hope needs your help. Join 97.1 FM Talk and give the gift of hope today at glennon.org.
St. Charles, St. Louis, or Jefferson counties, need has no geographic boundaries when it comes to poor people, seniors, and the disabled trying to stay warm each winter.
St. Louis City, Madison, or St. Clair counties, and other parts of the region, the poor are struggling, making choices between heating and eating.
HeatUpStLouis.org takes 100% of your online donation. Need has no geographic boundaries. This is Melanie DeLeo, Chair.
This is Reverend Early Nance Jr. Help HeatUpStLouis.org.
Please make a donation.
Hello, home lovers. Let's plan an awesomely successful visit to your lovely home with samples and ideas for stylish, elegant custom window fashion, designer fabrics, drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. Just contact Michael at ProctorDrapery.com. 7 days. It's Proctor, spelled like doctor.
Proctor Drapery, the best in town. No finer window fashion can be found. Call for an appointment at your home. Spell Proctor like doctor.
Information to keep you moving. Dependable traffic, mornings and afternoons with Sue Thomas. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company. the best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor. This is the Annie Frey Show.
All these kinds of places make it seem like it's been ages. And tomorrow's sun, new buildings scrape the sky. I love this country dearly.
Democrats were supposed to flip the Senate and didn't. Supposed to flip state legislatures, not a one. And they lost seats in the House in a year that was so much about making people aware of racism. Their share of minority votes went down. The message to Democrats from so much of the country seems to be, we don't like Trump, but we still can't bring ourselves to vote for you. Liberals can either write off half the country as irredeemable, or they can ask, what is it about a D next to a candidate's name that makes it so toxic?
Dr. Randy Tobler at Randy Tobler MD.
Hey, thanks a lot. Yeah, I live for the Kardashians.
I'm a doctor. Huh? I'm a doctor.
Yeah, who would have thought that Randy, that Bill Maher would be fighting just as hard as us against woke leftism these days? But it's 2020, Randy, so why not? We just turned everything upside down on its head.
Yeah, we can't explain anything that happens this year. I wonder if people have subclinical COVID infections and they're just not acting as we'd expect them to, which predicts for an interesting 2021. I don't think there'll be any lack of fodder for you to talk about. Do you, Tim?
I doubt it, Randy. I think we're you can tell we're picking up. We're not slowing down. It seems like we're picking up steam here at the end of the year. I mean, Randy, we're going to kick off the new year with 2 elections in this country that are maybe only second to the presidential races every 4 years that are going to determine literally, Randy, I don't think this is an overstatement. These 2 Senate elections in Georgia, don't you think are going to determine the course of our nation over the next 2 to 4 years?
Well, they certainly have the potential to do so. I mean, I think that what happens in these elections could, depending on if Schumer follows through on his promise to change America, should the Democrats win those runoffs in Georgia, could be the most consequential elections I think that you and I could remember in our lifetime and perhaps in the last century, because this is, since FDR probably. He probably ushered in more change with, Social Security and government rescue programs that continued then to be spawned as government charity and centralization of government. And so I really think that, and I'm surprised that given that and given the high publicity that they've had, that there's not a clear polling margin, at least for the Republican candidates. Even if someone doesn't like the Republican candidates, I think most people would realize if you're a clear-minded Democrat, I mean, just look what happened when Harry Reid pulled the nuclear option for federal judges and eliminated the filibuster from 60 and to down to a 51% vote makes it happen. Well, that came back to bite them when it came to Supreme Court justices, with 3 of them passing by very narrow margins under Trump. So the Democrats ought to think this through before they push this one-party government too far, because eventually the consequences of that government will, it's not a matter of when, it's will, socialism come back to absolutely destroy America's economy, steal our liberties from us, and the American people will fight back and elect Republicans. And you know what will happen then? It'll be one-party rule against everything that the Democrats stand for. So they should think that through. But then again, Democrats don't think, they just feel. So that's the problem.
Right. It's all about emoting. Like you always say, Randy, it's all about emoting in our feelings, right? And so, Randy, when Chuck Schumer says, change America, those 2 little words that could be so sinister in their meaning, you follow these things very closely. What do you think he means by change America? What about America does Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi find out so abhorrent that we have to change it at this point?
Yeah, well, what they don't like is that most Americans, at some level and to some degree, treasure their ability to be sovereign in their own personal lives. And when Americans choose sovereignty and personal direction in their own lives with liberty and freedom to make their choice, and in the case of COVID, take their risks as they see fit, that takes away from their power. And Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi have lived in the swamp so long, and the swamp is infused with a strange little virus that no one really has ever, really thought through very much. But it's much more sinister and much more devilish than COVID ever will be. And it's called power mongering. And they are so thirsty for power. They are so clothed and bathed. And I mean, there's more power scent and perfume on Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer than a Bath and Body Works could ever give, no matter what they put in a bottle. And so that's what they love. They love power, and anything that threatens to take it from them, they will fight. And everything that will give more to them, they will fight to the death for. And so you can look for every move that Pelosi, Schumer, along with the squad and Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders, they're going to all coalesce, no matter the infighting right now about should we get the vaccine or should we leave it for healthcare workers, a little spat among the squad. They will coalesce to concentrate power in D.C. and take it away from every one of your listeners.
Randy, what's your take on Mitch McConnell's late maneuver here on the $2,000 stimulus check? So the House passed out the $2,000 stimulus checks. Bernie Sanders says he's going to filibuster the override of the National Defense Authorization Act until we make sure that happens. But Mitch McConnell then says, well, not so fast. I'm not just going to give you a blank check, so to speak. We're going to talk about repealing Section 230 and establishing a commission on voter fraud, which, of course, I'm sure made the liberals up in D.C. light their hair on fire, because you can't even say those two words together because they won't admit that exists anywhere. So, what say you on that? Do you like that maneuver? Do you not? What say you?
I think Mitch McConnell's in a really tough spot because of all of the crazy feelings and leanings of the Republican electorate down in Georgia. I mean, he really needs to calibrate everything he does for that group and that constituency. It's a really tough call because some of them are so angry at the election. Apparently, the early voting is not going too well in the rural parts, which is a revolt against lack of GOP trust for election fraud, investigation, taking a deep dive there. On the other hand, a lot of those very same people are hurting, and they'd like to have a couple $1,000. Who wouldn't? I think he's going to do a quid pro quo legislatively, and he's going to have to get in order to give. I would really love to see Tim, and I think here's my personal stance, and I wish that Mitch would maybe think about it. Maybe tweet this to him. Look, I'm okay with giving $2,000, but with making it a surgical scalpel approach and saying, look, we're not going to look at we're going to give everyone $2,000, but on your 2020 tax return to be filed in April, we're going to take a look back. And if you weren't hurt by COVID, if you're a government worker, if you're Tim and Randy who can work remotely, or I can't in all cases, but I'm not suffering by it other than taking care of a lot of COVID patients. But anyone who hasn't suffered from it, we're going to claw it back from you. And we're not going to give you the refund you had, and otherwise. But those who lost their jobs, those in the restaurant industry, the hospitality industry, the entertainment industry, I don't mean Hollywood, I mean but the band business, the music entertainment business, and local bars and dives, on small business people, you can keep your $2,000. But I really have a problem, and I think most Americans, if they think about it, would rather not bear the brunt of having to fund a $2,000 windfall for every American making under a certain amount. Let's do it for the people who have truly been hurt by this on the part of the government in behalf of its elected officials. And, be it more surgical like that. I think that may be a way to thread the needle. Be more fine-tuned about that $2,000.
You may be asking Washington, D.C. to think too hard, Randy. I'm not sure that they could extrapolate all that.
Morons. Think and politician are the same. Now, that doesn't apply to Tim Jones. That doesn't apply to Tim Jones.
Well, thank you. You're too kind. Hey, Randy, before I let you go, could you you're too kind. Could you give us a little COVID update, Randy, in your neck of the woods, being up at the hospital up there? How are infection rates doing, hospitalization rates, and maybe most importantly, Randy, how's the vaccination operation going in your region?
Right. Well, they've had the Governor Parson and his administration have had to limit the distribution to all healthcare workers and reroute the limited supplies they've gotten from the feds to nursing home patients and the workers in those nursing homes, which is proper because those are the most at-risk people. And so there'll be a little slower drip out to all healthcare into late January. That's going to push it back for high-risk people in the population and everyone. So I think we're probably going to see a slow drip out of that than we thought. We're doing okay. The rate is down a little bit. People have taken it to heart as they get affected or people around them get affected. So I'm going to continue to, we lost a representative-elect in Louisiana, Tim, Luke Letlow,
Yes.
41 years old.
Sad.
I cannot
So horrible.
find any evidence, or I can't read that the guy had any underlying conditions. Maybe he did, but that should give everyone a little pause for thought as we head into this new year. Don't let your guard down. Have hope. We have the vaccine on its way. We have the bridge of monoclonal antibodies. Don't be afraid to get diagnosed. If you're at high risk, ask your doctor, ask your healthcare person about getting those monoclonals to help reduce your severity and keep you from getting in the hospital and dying from this thing. We've had phenomenal success with that. And then the remdesivir as well. So there is hope on the horizon for 2021.
Fantastic. Randy, we're looking forward to spending a lot of 2021 with you and all of your prognostications. I want to wish you, Randy, your family, everybody, all your colleagues, a very happy and healthy new year. Thanks for everything you did for us in 2020.
My pleasure. I look forward to the same with you, Tim.
We were still young, my wife and I. Before we married, we saved our money.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Once a year I'll see them for a week or so at most. I take a walk, 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 take a walk.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsLhonorflight.org. And for free HVAC estimates, visit aircomfortservice.com.
I'm listening daily. You are not alone. During these challenging times, listening is fundamental to promoting understanding and healing. Here's Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters on dealing with depression.
Mental health and depression is something that people should really take seriously, and there's a stigma attached to it that's unfortunate, because just as you take care of yourselves in every other way, I think it's important that people really try to take care of themselves in that way too. And it ain't easy, life's hard.
Like you said, people, you got it so together. That just goes to show you, it doesn't matter what's in your, what's in your bank account or how many hits are on your YouTube page or all that kind of crap. It all goes out the window if you're, like Dave said, if you're not feeling right.
Talk has the power to save lives, and you are not alone. Find out more at imlistening.org.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group at 314-993-9494. He'll show you how to participate in the market gains without ever losing a penny. Thomas is the official financial advisor of the Mark Cox Morning Show.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo. What is Zipline? It's Golden Oak's fast and easy online mortgage tool that leaves you with more time to plan a family movie night.
I get to pick the movie.
And clean up the popcorn you weren't planning on sharing. At Golden Oak Lending, we speak mortgage and love translating it. Right now, rates are at a historic low 2.5%. Visit goldenoaklending.com to use Zipline. NMLS 114937, 2.5% fixed, 2.655% APR on a conventional 15-year mortgage with 30% equity and approved credit. 111 Westport Plaza, St. Louis, Missouri.
This week only, Edwards Carpet is having its most incredible sale of the year. In fact, the most incredible sale ever. Well, okay, I know, after months of holiday shopping and hundreds of commercials that sound just like this one does so far, where does Edwards get off saying most incredible sale ever this week only, just days after Christmas, when everybody else is telling you to drop everything and run to their incredible sale? Well, if you're even remotely thinking about new carpeting and you've been waiting for a big enough sale, then move back from your radio, because here it comes. Now through January 10th, Edwards' top-of-the-line 60-ounce, 15-year warranty carpet that normally sells for $7.99 a square foot is now just $4.99 a square foot. Plus a thick 7/16-inch 8-pound pad free, installed free. And this week only, interested now? We'll take up your old carpet and move your furniture free. There. If you don't think that's an incredible sale, you must have had some kind of holiday.
Open New Year's Day.
Come on down to Edwards Carpet Stores.
Anton's Air Conditioning and Heating is proud to announce they have air sterilization technology, proven to safely kill the COVID-19 virus airborne and on surfaces. Right now, receive a COVID relief finance offer of no payments for 18 months. Whether you are home or back in the office, Anton's will make sure your air is safe. Go to antonshvac.com and schedule your free consultation today. And no payments for 18 months on all products offered by Anton's Air Conditioning and Heating. Payments for 18 months.
Your energy needs are changing. That's why Ameren Missouri isn't waiting on the future. They're building it with a smart energy plan advancing thousands of projects across the state. That's energy at work. Learn more at amerenmissouri.com/plan.
The Dave Glover Show.
It's all those people that were in line with me at QT this morning, getting a coffee, getting a donut. That's America. It's not Nancy Pelosi.
Weekdays at 3 on 97.1 FM Talk.
There is a house in New Orleans. They call the rising sun. And it's been the ruin of many a poor boy. And God, I know I'm one.
If you don't want illegal immigrants to get free health care and go to open borders, make sure Republicans control the Senate. We can't run the government from the Senate, but we sure as hell can stop socialism if we have control of the Senate. That's why everybody needs to get out and vote in Georgia.
That's the message to Georgians. And if you know anybody down there, friends, Romans, countrymen, make sure you remind them they need to go vote. It's going to be a historic election. These two Senate races are just as critical as the presidential race. We're going to see what happens on January 6th and so much more. So welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Hi to everybody in the chat room. I'm not used to that, Katie, but I like it. It's fun.
Great.
Yeah.
It's so fun. And if you guys want to watch us or join the chat room, feel free to do it on Facebook.com/Annie Frey Show or on YouTube. And it's YouTube.com/Annie Frey. So go ahead and check us out. Join us, comment. We want to hear from you guys. We love reading the comments.
Some great discussions going on in the chat room and on Twitter as well, as Katie just mentioned. I'm at Speaker Tim Jones. You can follow me. You can follow Annie at Annie Frey Show 971. Katie is K Fitz 971. Is that right?
Yep. Had to search that up once I got married.
And then Robot Wiggins, right?
Well, that's my name, but my Twitter handle is at Radio Wiggins. Yeah.
At Radio Wiggins. Yeah. So,
yeah.
And some great conversations. I love following the chat room along, see what everybody's talking about. And I think it was maybe Brad that was mentioning he's got it right. You know, the federal government, going back to our states' rights issue earlier, the states are the way to think of this. When people start screaming and yelling about local control, just remind them that the states are the parent. The states have always been the tantamount power in our country. The 50 states, and they stand in equal footing, one against each other. Delaware, just as important as California, believe it or not. And they all have equal powers. The federal government and the local governments, the cities, the towns, the fire districts, the school districts, the counties, they're all children as well of the states. So the federal government, believe it or not, and the local governments are the children of the states. Now, I know that seems bizarre to say that, given how much power we have conceded to the federal government. And I think it was Brad that was saying, he was correct on this. The federal government has enumerated specific powers, and that's all they were supposed to have. But we've relinquished a lot of power to them over the generations. And I think that has been to our detriment. Two great articles. We had a fella call in earlier. What a different take on the election than I do, and a lot of you all do out there. But I wanted to get his point of view. He's like, Donald Trump complained about 2016. Well, maybe a little bit. Who really complained about 2016 was the left, the liberal media, and the Democrats for 4 straight years, calling Trump a Russian asset. And he's saying, well, what about this widespread voter fraud? I said, no, I think it's more targeted and systematic. And I said, it doesn't add up, right? And I got 2 great articles, very simple reads from the Federalist. And they really go hand in hand with each other. And I would urge you to read them back to back. They're not that long. The first one was written back on November 23rd, and it's titled 5 More Ways Joe Biden Magically Outperformed Election Norms. And when you read this article, just the sheer incredulity you have to have, the suspension of reality that you have to accept Joe Biden as winning the presidency while Democrats lost everything else. And the way Joe Biden won, losing everywhere in every way except those 4 cities I keep talking about. Read this article and then tell me that you're not wondering after you read this article, that your curiosity is not piqued in some way. The second article then, so the hand in hand here, was an article written about the Texas lawsuit. 6 things to know about Texas's Supreme Court petition over 2020's messed up election. Margot Cleveland at the Federalist wrote this article. She did a better analysis than I would have done on this. 6 points about the lawsuit. And the one I want to go to that I was banging on before we talked to Dr. Tobler was point number 3. Texas presents serious constitutional claims. And what it says here is Texas revealed in its detailed summary of facts that each of the defendant states, through non-legislative actors, nullified, okay, that means canceled, terminated, legislatively established election laws in violation of the Electors Clause of the Electoral College. For example, large Wisconsin counties used drop boxes in direct violation of the Wisconsin election code. Okay. So state actors in Wisconsin, not the legislature, changed the election law. Well, to me, that would mean you have caused and created then and committed an unlawful election. They talk about what happened in Michigan. They talked about what happened in Georgia. And then they say, in this article, Margot does, the most egregious violations came from Pennsylvania, where election officials ignored the statutory bar on inspecting ballots before Election Day, then illegally provided voter information to third parties and allowed illegal curing of the ballots. Significantly in Pennsylvania, these illegal practices only occurred in Democratic strongholds with Republicans following the law. So, Ryan, the question is then, how many of those ballots should be considered unlawful? 2, 2,000, 200,000? If you have ballots cast unlawfully, well, to me, Ryan, that says you have an illegal election then.
Yeah, and when that would mean that the state legislature would have to take action, which I guess is why the courts are not intervening as much in these things, because the state legislature should be, and they are. It's just that these things, when you're talking about so many different angles, Tim, I mean, you just read some of them, but there's more. I mean, there's so many different angles that you could approach this election from and say, this was an issue, this was an issue. Voter fraud or individual, mail-in ballots were a problem, or breaking state laws were a problem, or the Dominion software was a problem.
Right, we didn't even touch on that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's so many different things that when you break them all down, they're really hard to get to the bottom of in a month and a half, 2 months. It's amazing that we've found out what we have in 2 months. But for these things, usually the justice system, you've talked about it before, that it usually takes like a year at least to present cases that would cause action. And they're trying to do all this in 2 months. And meanwhile, half of the country is trying to either turn a blind eye to it or just doesn't even know it's happening. So there's no awareness from the media. There's no curiosity from the media about it, which isn't helping anything. So it's just a really hard, constant uphill battle.
As you were just talking, Ryan, I think I figured out how to boil it all down. So all the questions we're getting, a lot of our listeners are so, and I'm with them. They're upset about this, and they're like, well, why isn't somebody doing something? Why isn't the courts doing something? Why aren't the state legislators doing something? Why aren't our elected officials doing something? Why aren't more people objecting? Like, why is Josh Hawley the only U.S. senator to go on record that he thinks there was enough problems that they need to take a look at and they need to object to the Electoral College thing? You know what it comes down to, Ryan? I think we're trying to look for one actor or another, or blame it on the courts or blame it on the Democrats. You know what it is, Ryan? I think it's the establishment.
Yeah.
The total the elites, the ruling class, whether they call themselves in public Republicans, Democrats, Independents, or agnostics. I think, Ryan, the establishment saw what was being perpetrated. What was being perpetrated was Joe Biden is the president-elect. And I think the establishment went, okay, if this is how we get rid of Donald Trump, then we're absolutely fine with that, and we don't care. It's the establishment.
You're right. It's every facet of American culture. Sometimes you could even say worldwide culture. The media, you've got the education system, you've got entertainment, which I guess would be part of media. You've got the government, you've got everything working to just sort of say, leave it alone. Don't do anything. Leave it alone. Big tech would be definitely in there now.
Oh, they're thrilled.
Trying to, because normally you'd have, and this is what we do have, but you have individual citizens who are making a fuss about this and saying, we have to look into this. A lot of people are upset about this, and you have the big industries trying to stop it. But with big tech, you're not even trying to stop like the broad conversation about it. They're targeting individuals to stop them from talking about it. That's how far it's gotten.
And the establishment, so to your point, why is the establishment happy as clams and seeing this as their out and their release from Donald Trump? Because of what you just said. Donald Trump was a breaker of things and a reformer of ideas and a reformer of institutions. So he was a breaker of things in a good way. He was like, Washington's a disaster. I'm going to break it, and we're going to rebuild it so it actually answers to the people. And he was a reformer of institutions. We're not going to do things how the education establishment always wanted to do them. That's why he put Betsy DeVos in charge of the education department. You know, that's why he put so many other brave, bold people in charge of things that the VA. Hey, have you heard any problems about the VA recently? That's because Donald Trump went in there and broke it and reformed it and fixed it. The VA was a mess at the end of Obama's term. International, you referenced international foreign policy earlier, Ryan. How many new wars have we gotten into under Donald Trump's reign?
I think the answer is 0.
I think the answer is none. I think we've pulled some troops back home, much to the chagrin of the neocon warhawks. Look, I believe that the U.S. needs to carry a big stick, but we don't need to be the world's policeman in every single area. Then we get into things like Black Hawk Down and all that kind of stuff. So I'll tell you what. I wish 2020 would stop attacking my childhood. Okay. Can I just say that?
What do you mean?
Katie and I just discovered, Ryan, that Dawn Wells, Mary Ann of Gilligan's Island, has died at the tender age of 82. Enough. Stop attacking my childhood. I used to watch, I didn't watch the originals, right? Because I'm not that old, but my dad and I.
Well, according to Carl.
I'm 1,000 years old. Yeah.
Rude.
My dad and I, Dr. Jones and I, my dad and I he'd get me up early in the morning and we'd go downstairs and I'd have a bowl of cereal and we'd sit there at the kitchen table and flip on the TV and we'd watch a little news. And then like the reruns, Hogan's Heroes would be on in the morning and then Gilligan's Island. And there was a whole little rundown and I'd catch some of that before I went off to school.
Mary Ann was beautiful.
Very
gorgeous.
Very pretty lady. In fact, I was looking at her bio here, Katie, and she was Miss Nevada in 1959. She was in the Miss America pageant.
Oh, wow.
And then she was in a bunch of movies, 77 Sunset Strip, Maverick, I guess the original Maverick, Bonanza, The Joey Bishop Show, and Hawaiian Eye. So anyway, Ryan, were you a Gilligan's Island fan at all?
My even childhood logical mind could not wrap around Gilligan's Island and how they could not for years get off of this darn island. Yet the Harlem Globetrotters could show up and play a game there and then leave somehow. Among other things.
Oh, come on, Ryan.
Even as a child, I was like, no, this is inappropriate.
It's fiction.
I'm going to ask Ryan about Fantasy Island next when we come back on the Annie Frey Show. That and more here at 97.1 FM Talk.
I like a bed that's really firm.
I need something a little softer than that.
Rest easy. With the Sleep Number 360 smart bed, you can both adjust your comfort with your Sleep Number setting.
Can it really help me fall asleep faster?
Yes, by gently warming your feet.
Okay, but can it help keep us asleep?
It senses your movements and automatically adjusts to keep you effortlessly comfortable. Sleep Number, proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. Don't miss our New Year's special. The Queen Sleep Number 360 C2 smart bed is only $8.99, plus special financing. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno. Buonasera. Buonasera. How can I make the most of waiting for my next big vacation?
Translate your questions into goals by investing with Merrill Edge Self-Directed. It's more accessible than you think, with helpful planning tools plus free online stock and ETF trades, so you can keep practicing your pronunciation. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/withinreach to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated. Registered broker-dealer, member SIPC. Other fees may apply. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
You want to retire soon.
But everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, healthcare, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, The 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
I'm listening daily. You are not alone. During these challenging times, listening is fundamental to promoting understanding and healing. Here's Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters on dealing with depression.
Mental health and depression is something that people should really take seriously, and there's a stigma attached to it that's unfortunate, because just as you take care of yourselves in every other way, I think it's important that people really try to take care of themselves in that way too. And it ain't easy, you know, life's hard.
You know, like you said, people, you know, you got it so together. That just goes to show you, you know, it doesn't matter what's in your, you know, how much, what's in your bank account or how many hits are on your YouTube page or all that kind of crap. It all goes out the window if you're, like Dave said, if you're not feeling right.
Talk has the power to save lives, and you are not alone. Find out more at imlistening.org.
KFTK FM Florissant, K254CR St. Louis, driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk, a radio.com station.
No evidence of fraud. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. Authorities in Georgia say an audit of ballot envelope signatures show there was no widespread fraud or discrepancies in the state's presidential election.
Georgia's Secretary of State's office recruited the help of the state's Bureau of Investigation to review ballot envelope signatures from November's election. The agency's Bain Rich says few signatures alerted their experts to problems.
There was only 2 instances where those envelopes should have been cured in the process. No fraudulent ballots were found.
President Trump claims widespread fraud cost him the election in Georgia. The state is getting ready to vote again next week in runoff races for both of its U.S. Senate seats.
Fox's Eben Brown. Missouri Republican U.S. Senator Josh Hawley says he will raise objections next week when Congress meets to affirm President-elect Joe Biden's election. That move will likely delay but not alter the final certification of Biden's election victory. President-elect Joe Biden is shoring up his Defense Department team.
President-elect Joe Biden, in a statement announcing his nomination of Dr. Kathleen Hicks as the Deputy Secretary of Defense and Dr. Colin Kahl as the Deputy Secretary of Defense for Policy. Biden saying they will be partners to Secretary of Defense designate Lloyd Austin to advance the Biden-Harris administration's defense strategy, including playing a key role in executing the logistics associated with COVID-19 vaccine distribution.
Fox's John Decker in Washington. Louisiana's newest Republican member of the U.S. House, Luke Letlow, has died from complications related to COVID-19 just days before he would have been sworn in. The 41-year-old congressman-elect was set to take office in a few days. He contracted coronavirus earlier this month and was hospitalized on the 19th. America is listening to Fox News.
Right now, Allstate has almost as many ways to save as there are types of music. Save for being a new customer. Save more for adding DriveWise. And save even more for driving safely. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent to get a quote. Find out how much you can save today. Allstate. Now that should be music to your ears.
Not available in every state. New customer savings based on early signing discount. DriveWise is an optional feature. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Smoothbrook, Illinois.
Newsmax TV is the biggest thing on cable news, with shows including Dick Morris, Rudy Giuliani, Michelle Malkin, Diamond and Silk, Mike Huckabee, Alan Dershowitz, and more. Every night, watch Newsmax's #1 show, Greg Kelly Reports. Greg Kelly tells you the truth about Trump. Newsmax is on all major cable systems. Check your guide or tell your operator operator, you want Newsmax. 30 million Americans watch Newsmax TV. And download the Newsmax app on your smartphone. It's free, so get Newsmax TV anytime, anywhere.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's been a gloomy day across the St. Louis area. And now as we go through the afternoon, you can already tell the drop in temperature has happened. Temperatures in the upper 30s now. It's windy with periods of mainly light rain mixing with some wet snow from time to time. Tonight, the light snow continues, a dusting to a half inch, 25 for the low. Not much in the way of moisture on Thursday, 35 degrees. Second storm Thursday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's open enrollment season, and MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google MediShare and see if it's a right fit for you. And check out the podcast from the Associated Press, Ground Game, hosted by AP's digital editor, Megan Crane.
Celebrate the end of this crazy year and look forward to a more normal 2021 with a visit this week to Diamonds Direct. Now through January 2nd, we've extended our special 4-year zero-interest holiday finance offer so you can pick any item, get the guaranteed best value price, and spread your payments over 4 years with zero interest. It's a great week to shop Diamonds Direct. Guys, maybe you need a Christmas do-over gift after thinking a new robot vacuum cleaner was a good idea. Or maybe you're getting engaged over New Year's weekend or upgrading her diamond. Whatever the reason, we've got you covered with the best selection and the best prices and a completely no-risk shopping environment. And yes, through January 2nd, you can still take advantage of our incredible holiday finance offer. 4 years, zero interest on anything and everything, so you can splurge without breaking the bank. Start the new year with some new excitement, new hope, and some new bling. Happy New Year 2021 from your friends at Diamonds Direct. Get details, directions, and more at diamondsdirect.com on Approved Credit.
I'm Stephen Lynch, General Sales Manager at Volvo Cars West County. This holiday season, let us help pay your personal property tax when you purchase a new Volvo from us. We have 0% APR, or check out these lease payments on the 2021s. The Volvo S60 T5 Momentum is only $319 a month. The XC40 Momentum only $399 a month. And the XC90 T5 all-wheel drive $569 a month. If we can make your holiday a little brighter, we will. Visit us today and let us help pay your personal property tax or enjoy one of these lease payments. $319 a month on an S60, $399 a month on an XC40, and the XC90 only $569 a month. Visit us today on Manchester Road, 4 miles west of 270, or online at wcvolvocars.com. Purchase new Volvo for $742 credit towards personal property tax. Go to volvocars.com/specials for details with approved credit. Expires 1/4/2021.
You can listen to 97.1 on the radio or online with no big tech censorship. Just download the app, stream it online, or say it to your smart speaker. 97.1 FM Talk. Free and fair. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rip my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
My wife's on the phone with her hairdresser or her friend. She's like, really? Okay, I can't wait to see you. That's going to be great. Fantastic. What time? 12 o'clock? My wife is from Spain. Mm-hmm. And she said, blah, blah, blah. And blah, blah, blah. I don't mean to be racist when I put that accent on there, by the way.
So, who was that? Alec Baldwin?
That was
talking about his fake wife, Hilaria.
Yep,
well, his wife's real, but she's not really from Spain.
I believe that was in 2013 on Letterman. So it was just an example of how he was saying, like, oh, she's from Spain, but now it's coming out that she isn't from Spain and she's been faking an accent this
Really?
whole time.
Did you hear about this, Ryan?
And her name isn't Hilaria, it's Hillary.
Yeah.
So that's been happening for
It's
about
for real,
20
Ryan.
years.
Yeah, for 20 years, Alec Baldwin. Talk about cultural. Why isn't Alec Baldwin like banned from everything now, and his wife? Because if anybody on the right side of the world did that, that's what would happen. Crazy.
Yeah, but he's cool, right? He's in 30 Rock and stuff.
He
so
makes fun of Trump.
We'll turn a blind eye. Yeah, right. He plays Trump. So,
But this is an absolutely insane story because
it's insane. It really is insane.
Is Alec? Is he like okay with his wife playing a part and he was just like, I'm in cahoots and I understand what's going on? Or was he also blindsided? I'm just very confused.
Oh, there's no way he would.
I don't want to. I mean, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt here.
Well, let's remember with all the Democrats that have gotten busted for blackface and stuff this year and all that, they used to think this kind of stuff was funny until they told the world. I mean, it's weird, isn't it? They're such hypocrites. I mean, they really are.
And I mean, she had to admit, I think how she got caught was she started making these Instagram stories and she sound like there was not even a trace of an accent in these Instagram stories that she was explaining things like how her life was going during the pandemic and whatnot. And people started to comment with videos previously, one of them being that she forgot the word cucumber. And it was like a cooking show that she was on and she forgot the word cucumber. And she said, like, what's this word in like your language or something around like along those lines. And like really had a very thick accent explaining how to cook this one thing on a show.
What you say, cucumber.
It was
it's just so stupid.
How does this happen?
Well, how did we find out
it?
that she was faking it? That she was speaking a normal accent half the time?
So
because she's from Boston.
Yeah.
This is the best story.
It really is, and no one's going to talk about it except us.
It's seriously like everybody is like, wait, her real name is Hillary. That's her actual real name. It's not Hilaria.
It's so bad. It's just so bad. Oh my, poor Bryce Hill. Let's get to him. See if he can save us from all of this. Bryce, you want to pretend you're from somewhere else today, if you want? You know.
No interest in doing that at all.
Good man.
Very good. Hey, Bryce Hill joins us now, as he often does on what is today, Katie? Wednesday? Yeah, I'm all confused.
Wednesday
yeah.
the 30th.
Doesn't feel. Yeah, it's just this whole week's kind of messed up. But Bryce is going to put us back on course here. He's a senior research analyst at Illinois Policy Institute. You can check him out, illinoispolicy.org. They also have a fantastic Twitter feed. I'm checking it out right now at Illinois Policy on Twitter. So, Bryce, the big topic I think we're going to discuss today, it's the end of the year, right, Bryce? And Bryce, I saw a chart the other day. One of our state reps, Nick Schroer, who we have frequently on the station, actually, in St. Charles County, just right here on the other side of the river, he put out a big chart of the United States of America showing between last July and this July, states that have lost population and states that have gained. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about. Illinois, Bryce, I believe between July of last year and July of this year has lost nearly 80,000 people. And that's just kind of the top line view, isn't it, on this very sobering issue as we hit the end of 2020 here.
Yeah, absolutely. So 80,000 people, the largest decline in population in state history. And really, especially concerning that it's gotten worse for the past 7 consecutive years, rather. Sorry. We started off, 7 years ago, losing about 10,000 and then grows to 20,000, 30,000, 40,000. And this year, it jumped to nearly 80,000. And so that brings our total population loss for the past decade to over 250,000 residents. Meanwhile, nearby neighboring states like Missouri are growing, adding 11,000 people in 2020 and growing by, over 150,000 on the decade. So it matters not only, for the future of the state and the state economy, but even representation in Washington, which is very likely to shrink based on this trend.
Yeah, Bryce, real world consequences, right? If anybody wants to just shrug their shoulders and whistle past the graveyard, which people are worried that Illinois is becoming, these have real world consequences, right? So first of all, Bryce, losing people means you're also losing lots of jobs, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that, we certainly can't afford to have happen right now. But unfortunately, even as the rest of the nation continues to recover, that's something that happens in Illinois all too frequently. We've lost jobs in 2 out of the past 3 months. Most recently, we lost 20,000 jobs in the month of November. And meanwhile, other states are continuing to climb, continuing to see massive economic recovery. And I think nothing illustrates this more really than when you look at, border comparisons, like St. Louis, for example. The St. Louis portion on the Missouri side, the unemployment rate there is 4.2%. When you travel over to the Illinois side, you get an unemployment rate of 4.7%. So even areas that should be, extremely similar are getting vastly different outcomes with, nearly 25% more people unemployed.
Yeah, and the other thing, Bryce, that it affects is wealth, right? And I'm not talking about the wealthy. I'm talking about the wealth of the state as a total. So if you lose people and you lose jobs, you also lose prosperity, don't you? It leaves your state and it goes somewhere else. And generally, Bryce, I'll bet you've looked at this, and I would imagine that on total numbers, Illinois is losing a lot of people, jobs, and prosperity to states that have state policies very different than what is coming out of Springfield on the Illinois side.
No doubt about that. Yes, they, one follows the other, and then it just really starts this very dangerous pattern of repeating. The more people, the more people that leave, the more jobs and opportunity that leave, the more jobs and opportunity that leave, the more people that are then forced to leave to go find those jobs and opportunity elsewhere. And then, not to mention, yes, what this accumulates over time, and we actually looked at this last year. We looked at the past decade to see, just how much larger could we reasonably expect the Illinois state economy to have been had we just simply kept pace with national level population growth. And we found that, the state economy would be over $74 billion larger today if for the past 10 years, instead of eventually slowly bleeding out residents to other states, we'd actually gained residents like most other states did. We would have an economy that's bigger to the tune of nearly $100 billion that provides massive relief for those looking for a job, those looking to start a business, and then ultimately those being asked to pay state tax bills, because then there's just so many more shoulders to bear that burden.
Yeah, Bryce, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure I've seen articles, even in the Chicago Tribune of all places, by their editorial boards over the last few years, pointing out, believe it or not, even the Chicago Tribune editorial board has recognized this, because it's so hard. You cannot ignore this any longer. It smacks you in the face. This amount of the numbers you just gave us, the data is unbelievable. And Bryce, they've even pointed to a lot of the policies that are coming out of Illinois governors and or the Illinois legislature. They're the reason for this, right? Bryce, there's nothing wrong with Illinois objectively in and of itself, or the people of Illinois. It's the policies coming out of Illinois state government, isn't it, that's causing this massive outflow of people, population, and prosperity.
Yeah, it's been the trend for lawmakers and those people responsible to ultimately shrug their shoulders and say, yeah, this is just people leaving for retirement in Florida. But that's absolutely not the case. When you look at surveys of people who have actually left, the top 2 reasons that they have left, it makes up more than 70% of the reason for leaving, is because of better, more affordable housing opportunities, better housing opportunities, and 2, job opportunities, whether it be higher paying jobs, just the ease of finding a job. And we know for a fact, without a doubt, poor policy in the state of Illinois has negatively affected both of those things for Illinoisans. So tax policy, high property taxes make even, relatively affordable housing markets very expensive when it comes down to it. It also disincentivizes people from investing or starting a business when you continuously raise their income taxes and don't give them anything else to show for it. And then ultimately, when you're asking residents to invest in your state to start a family, to put roots down, providing no long-term stability for what their future will look like, no assurances that the services they're getting today aren't going to be slashed to then instead pay for pensions, which have risen by 500% in the past 20 years versus spending on things like schools that have only risen 20%. It's really hard for those people to make that decision, and it's the reason why we're seeing so many people leave.
Speaking with Bryce Hill, Senior Research Analyst at Illinois Policy. I was listening to you say some of the job numbers, Missouri adding 17,000 jobs while Illinois losing 20,000. And just the discrepancy between the Metro East of Illinois versus the city of St. Louis, that's amazing to me, because you're not talking about an area of St. Louis or of Missouri that's terribly open right now. I mean, you're talking about the city of St. Louis, which is maybe a little bit more open than Illinois is, but just the fact that it's in Missouri is giving it a boost. Let me ask you this, Bryce. When you look across the state of Illinois, obviously for the most part, we think of Chicago as kind of running everything, but are there parts of Illinois that are doing better than other parts?
I mean, certainly there are places that are suffering a little bit less. I would say that, it's obvious that all areas of the state are being substantially negatively affected right now between lockdowns and just the entire pandemic in general. But yeah, so places actually like, believe it or not, the St. Louis area, the Illinois portion of the St. Louis area, is actually doing a little bit better than the state as a whole. Its unemployment rate's 4.7%. Statewide, that figure is 6.9%. Then you have places up north, the closer you get to Chicago, areas like Rockford, Chicago, those places all have unemployment rates near the state average, which makes sense because they have a lot of the bulk of the state population up towards those areas. But yeah, it's interesting to see the further you get away from Illinois or the perceived center of who runs Illinois, and you get more towards these edges. People in the Illinois Metro East area are benefiting from being at least a little bit closer to a state that is a little bit more open, and they're seeing some, even though they're higher than their border states, they're seeing unemployment rates that are a little bit lower than places that are more isolated.
Bryce, before we let you go, we're about to head into the 2021 legislative session in both Missouri and Illinois and pretty much every other state in the union. I know you all at the Illinois Policy Institute have a lot of great ideas and policy solutions where Illinois could reverse these trends we've been discussing. They don't have to continue to go down this road, because we just discussed these are human-made problems, and there's human created solutions. Bryce, what would you hope and would like to see some of the things the Illinois legislature do? And secondly, is there anybody in the legislature willing to move forward on any of those potential solutions?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, if there's one single thing that we could do that's going to really turn this around, it's going to be constitutional pension reform. We have hundreds of billions of dollars in unfunded pension liabilities. The systems are continuing to deteriorate. The funding ratios are going down despite spending over 25% of the state budget on them. So in order to protect retirees who are counting on getting a retirement from the state, and taxpayers who are ultimately paying for them, we have to start there. It's likely part of the reason why we're seeing such severe population decline and out-migration in the state. People sometimes don't mind paying some more of their money in taxes if they're confident in what they're getting, if they think that they're getting something worthwhile and worth spending on. And pensions are a large reason why that's not been the case in Illinois, and why that cost has just been too high for so many to bear. So I'd say we have to start there, and we do have some support. It's been growing over the past several years. We've gotten bipartisan support for solutions like this in the past, and actually they were passed in 2013. So a lot of similar solutions have had bipartisan support. We're anticipating growing bipartisan support in the coming year, especially as the state stares down such a large budgetary gap in light of the pandemic and associated economic downturn. So we feel very optimistic that not only do we need it now more than ever, but we're more likely to get pension reform now more than ever.
Fantastic. Bryce Hill, Senior Research Analyst at the Illinois Policy Institute. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Bryce, thanks for joining the Annie Frey Show. I know Annie very much appreciates it throughout the entire year. Really appreciate your clear vision and solutions for to help the once great state of Illinois to become great once again. Bryce, have a happy new year. Wishing that to you and everybody over there at IPI.
Thanks. Happy New Year to you too.
And we'll talk to him in the new year, right, Katie? I'm sure we will. Yeah. Good stuff. Always good to have Bryce on. And we appreciate Illinois Policy Institute very much because, like we just pointed out, there's nothing inherently wrong with Illinois. There's great people there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, except for
one.
Maybe one.
One person.
I'm thinking of particularly. Yeah.
Who?
I don't know. Not sure.
You don't know him.
Oh, good. Because I know almost everybody in Illinois.
Oh, I know.
That's
you do.
weird that I don't know.
This is that
him.
one person that you don't know. It's
Okay.
It's fine. It's definitely not you, though.
Good. It's not associated with me in any way. 'Cause I don't know
no,
that
not at
guy.
all. I'm sure you're fine. Don't worry about it. No, but yeah, so many great people in Illinois. I have so many friends, and there's nothing wrong with. And look at Illinois's got Chicago and the Great Lakes, and just so many other wonderful things and beautiful farmland. Illinois should be kicking butt, right? Just like any other Midwestern state that's run by good leadership. And I think that's what Bryce was highlighting and has highlighted throughout 2020. Hey, we'll be back with lots more here on the Annie Frey Show at 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Tune into the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del, self-made millionaire and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, will show you how to live the life of your dreams and pay for it with passive income.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hi, this is Andrea from Best Buy Flooring. Are your floors old and worn out? We have all your flooring needs. Carpet, tile, vinyl, hardwood, and ceramic. Installed or cash and carry. Have it your way. Let our flooring specialist show you our 20,000 square foot showroom with 2 locations to serve you. Hazelwood, Missouri or O'Fallon, Illinois. And contractors, come on in. Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy Flooring.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at ThrottleNet.com. So it's crazy time at ThrottleNet. They are IT geniuses, but they are a little bit nutty. Right now, they will pay you $250 for a conversation about your IT support because they value your time during the crazy pandemic. They'll give you the first 30 days for free, no charge for all of their services. And then they'll pay you another $1,000 if you decide to leave in the first 30 days for your trouble. They don't anticipate that you're going to leave, but if you do, they'll shake your hand, they'll put you back where you were, and they'll write you a check for $1,000. It is completely no risk, and they reward you for your time and for your effort. They are the best IT shop in the city, named number 1 5 years straight. They are good guys. Like I said, they are geniuses at protecting you, but they can communicate. They don't stare at their shoes. They look you in the eye, and they tell you what you need to know. ThrottleNet.com/971.
Holiday traditions fill our hearts with joy. None more than the Tree of Hope at SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. 97.1 is proud to celebrate the work done at Cardinal Glennon and privileged to honor the giving tradition. Together, with the generous support of listeners, we can help fund programs like music therapy, bringing the healing power of music to all patients. Giving to the Tree of Hope is a tradition filled with joy for all the patients we help. At 97.1, we know it's a joy to give as well. Thank you for giving today at Glennon.org.
You got through 2020 together, so what are you waiting for? Propose with a stunning engagement ring from Shane Company. With our huge selection of ring settings and loose stones, countless combinations and possibilities, at Shane Company you can truly create a one-of-a-kind ring that will reflect her personal style. When you're finished, her ring will look like no other. Her friends will say, "It's so her." First, select a ring setting from hundreds of unique styles. Then pick a center stone. Choose a natural diamond, ruby, or a sapphire in over a dozen colors. We have the largest selection of stone shapes and sizes. Finally, add your own touch, like a decorative crown or a special engraving. Visit our store or book an in-store or virtual appointment. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and Shaneco.com.
Another reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo. What is a cash out refinance? It's doing a cannonball from your porch.
Watch out!
That new car smell. a new college graduate in the family.
With a BA in business and a minor in medieval Renaissance poetry.
Reading the words, paid in full.
Woohoo! Did it!
At Golden Oak Lending, we speak mortgage and love translating it for our customers. Right now, rates are at a low 2.5%. Call 314-567-GOLD or visit us online at goldenoaklending.com and talk with an experienced local loan officer who will guide you every step of the way. NMLS 114937, 2.5% fixed, 2.655% APR on conventional 15-year mortgage with 30% equity and approved credit. 111 West Port Plaza, St. Louis, Missouri.
97.1 will continue to be your source for information with perspective, where St. Louis comes to talk and listen. 97.1 FM Talk. Free and fair.
She'll lie and steal and cheat and beg you from her knees, make you think she needs it this time. She'll tear a hole in you, the one you can't repair.
I've said before, it's amazing to see the patience that some people have with other people's suffering. These Republicans in the Senate seem to have an endless tolerance for other people's sadness. We urge Mitch McConnell to stop his obstruction and to bring that legislation to the floor of the Senate. And we urge Republicans in the Senate to encourage him to do so.
Always be yourself unless you suck.
No, truer words never spoken there, huh? Is she the most insufferable person ever to walk the planet? I mean,
just how much she's playing on people's emotions when we're already emotional. Like we don't need to be reminded about how horrible this time is, or we don't need someone to feed us more things to play into our fear and our sadness and our anxiety. We have that covered. We're good.
And it's her party that's doing it across the country. It's her party that's preventing people from going back to work. And I saw a great article this morning. Do you guys ever stumble across Spiked online?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a libertarian leaning, I think it's a UK publication, and they don't like Donald Trump. Okay. So they're not Trump apologists. In fact, the first line of the article was like, Trump has been completely ignorant of the science on this, but then they go into lockdowns and it's well sourced with lots of hyperlinks. And they're like, lockdowns suck here. And I'm being unscientific here, but it's a very scientific article. They're like, lockdowns suck. Here's why. They don't work. They're a catastrophe. They're now causing more physical harm, pain, suffering, and death than anything they were supposed to help with. Stop doing them. Never do them again. Leave them in 2020 and don't go back. Why aren't those on the left paying attention to the data and the science? I don't know. January 6th. Lots of questions about that. What is going to happen? I don't know, because this has never occurred before. It's in law. So I love how the liberals get all upset when people on the right, the conservative side of the aisle, exercise their constitutional rights. These things are in law for a purpose. They can be utilized. Just because they haven't been utilized often, that's great, but you can't object to the Electoral College. It's in the law. And this is a situation, I think, that merits it. So what happened? So I found an article. It's on NPR, so it must be true, So,
oh yeah,
Congress's role in election results. Here's what happens on January the 6th. And for you two, Katie and Ryan, this is very relevant because it's going to be on a weekday. It's going to be starting at noon Central Time.
Okay,
that means the Annie Frey Show.
Yep,
front and center.
Yep.
So yeah. So number one, there's a joint session of Congress presided over by the vice president. At 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central, lawmakers from the House and the Senate will assemble in the House chamber, with Vice President Pence presiding in his role as president of the Senate. He'll begin to open the sealed certificates submitted by each state and hand them to tellers appointed from among the House and Senate members to read. I'm okay. Wasn't
Peter.
I'm getting
Peter.
getting excited about this. Yeah. In some recent elections, the count was expedited. The entire process was over in less than a half an hour. But if there are objections to any of the state certificates, it could take much longer. Number 2, what happens if there are objections? Well, sounds like there will be. It seems all but certain there will be objections from House members to the certificate. And now we know from the Senate. Representative Jody Hice of Georgia tweeted he would be lodging an objection to Georgia's electors. If a senator does go along with a challenge, which we sound like we have one, then the House and the Senate retire to their own chambers for a period of not more than 2 hours, and members get up to 5 minutes to speak in favor or against the objection. Then each chamber will vote with a simple majority required to uphold the objection. Boy, people are not looking forward to this, I'll bet you. Put your money where your mouth is, as they say. Has this been tried before? As recently as 2005, 2 Democrats, CNN, maybe remind Representative Stephanie Tubbs and Senator Barbara Boxer objected to Ohio's electors. Okay, so that happened. In 2017, with Biden and the vice president presiding, several Democrats rose to object to Trump's election. None, however, had submitted their objections in writing. Biden gavelled them down, later declaring it's over. Will it work this time? Well, I don't know.
We don't know. Yeah.
I mean, as far as I understand it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, just because a senator and a representative object, that just means there's going to be that 2-hour maximum debate that's going to happen. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to overturn anything. They would need at least 50 senators to vote to overturn any particular state for those electors to be cast out, correct?
Boy, and Josh Hawley just put everybody on the hot box today, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Talk about a hot potato. Yeah, I mean, Ryan, look, what if they object to Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania? That's a minimum. That could be as much as 8 to 10 hours of debate right there. This could go on for a while.
And if they do it in all of the states that apparently have double slates of electors, that's 7 states. So that could be a very, very long, that's more than a day at that point. And what's unclear, though, because if they have to get 50 senators to object, then they're not going to get a majority in the House. So you'd have a split Congress on it. So A, I don't know what happens in that situation. And B, I don't know what Mike Pence's role is, because apparently he has an outsized role in this process more than usual, as I understand.
It's going to be interesting because like in the past, it's mainly been expedited. Mark Cox just texted me and said, thanks, Mark. He's listening to the Annie Frey Show.
Hey.
He said Barbara Lee tried the same thing January 6th of 2017 against Donald Trump. So are we going to be reminded on CNN of all the Democrats that have objected to Republican presidents in the past? Well, no, because this is, oh my God, this is all fake news. Everything was fine in the election. This is horrible. Even this article I'm reading from, Ryan, from NPR, I didn't read all their little editorial comments. I'll go back to the beginning where I talked about Representative Jody Rice from Georgia. So, it says, instead of just, here's the news. After a meeting Monday with Trump, Representative Jody Hice, Republican of Georgia, tweeted that he would be lodging an objection to Georgia's electors. Okay, that's news. Falsely claiming, quote, the courts refused to hear the president's legal case. There's your editorialization right in the middle of your news story. You know, there it is. That's why people are sick and tired of even trying to decide whether what they're reading is news or opinion or some combination of both. We tell you what we're doing, right? When I tell you I'm reading the news or trying to deliver you the news or trying to deliver you the facts of like what happens in the Missouri legislature, I try to really hard just to give you the rules or the laws or the facts or the procedures. And then I tell you, here's what I think about that, you know?
Yep.
But, you know, here we are in NPR. But so this has been tried against Republican presidents. So, but because it's Donald Trump, we all got to light our hair on fire. And Katie, I think you were talking to me during the break about this. They can't get him out of their heads. He is so living rent free. Okay, they got what they think they have what they want, right? But yet they're still freaked out about January 6th. They keep saying The media keeps telling us it's a done deal. He's been elected. Let's get over. So if they really think that, whether that's true or not, they think that. They think that Joe Biden's going to be president no matter what. What do they care what Donald Trump says? Why are they so wrapped around the axle? It's because he's in their heads, in that little empty space between their ears, living rent-free. And what are they going to do after January 20th if Joe Biden is president?
It's going to be insane watching the news. And I think how this all snowballed was because this weekend on Twitter, I saw a lot of people taking pictures, or, a picture of Trump was circulating how he was going golfing this weekend. And, the captions
like Obama did a million times, and Bush and everybody, Clinton.
Yep, very typical tweets, very typical statuses saying, here's your president golfing. We're in the middle of a pandemic and in the middle of these stimulus checks and arguments and everything while the American people are suffering. Here he is golfing. And in my head, I'm thinking, didn't you want him to just go away? So now he's taking a little bit of time for himself. He's doing something that's probably relaxing. That's a de-stressor. And you caught him doing it. And that's still not good enough. But you wanted him to go away this whole entire time. You wanted him to wanted to get rid of him this whole time.
I know a lot of very normal blue-collar Americans in the heartland here in the Midwest that have golfed during the pandemic. You know why? It's one of the only things you can do right now. You can't go bowling. You can't go to the bar. You can't go see a baseball game or a hockey game. You can't do anything that normal people used to do. Mm-hmm. They do allow you so far, knock on wood, they've kept the golf courses open. You can walk outside, socially distanced from a couple of your friends, and go for a 6-mile walk or ride in a cart or whatever and play a little golf. A lot of people have done that. A lot of normal Americans, because otherwise we'd all be going insane. If we couldn't do anything, we'd be going absolutely insane right now, which is what apparently the left wants us to do. Sit home, do nothing, and stress about everything, right?
And also, that's what we're spending our time on, is taking pictures of any president having just a little bit of downtime. That sounds ridiculous.
Exactly. When we come back, maybe lighten things up a little bit. I've been wanting to talk all show. I've been wanting to bring this up. So I was listening to, I was flipping around on the way in and listening to a little bit of music, and I heard I realized, Katie, I haven't listened to enough music this year. It's been so much news and information and trauma and everything else. So has there been a lot of new music this year, or has that kind of been on hiatus a little bit as well?
There's a lot of artists that have thrived in quarantine because they were able to make these incredible albums. Taylor Swift being the primary person that has thrived in quarantine because they figured out a way. So there has been good music, but not a ton of it.
Okay. So I want to know what I've missed, right? Because I have a very eclectic music taste. I like everything from what a lot of people call bro country to alternative. I like some of the classics, the hard rock, whatever. And so I always try to bring that to the station with my bumper music. We've been playing a lot of that today, but I feel like I need to freshen it up a little bit.
Sure.
So maybe I need to read the top 20 charts.
Yes.
Although a lot of those names I can't pronounce anymore.
Let's do it.
But we'll try to struggle through it.
Katie will tell you she's fully plugged in.
She is.
You tell Katie to find some new music, and you're going to get new music.
What about you, Ryan? What are your music tastes? Are you kind of all over the board too, or do you have a lane you stay in?
Oh, that's a good question. I do like a lot of classic rock stuff, but I like Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and that stuff a little bit more than like the typical. I think U2 is okay, but I like a lot of 90s like British stuff.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that and a lot more when we come back. And if you want to chime in, did you all have anything positive that you think we missed in 2020? Whether there was something kind of flying under the radar that maybe we should have been paying attention to. 314-241-9797, 866-455-9797. One more segment of the Annie Frey Show when we come back on 97.1 FM Talk.
And I don't blame you, dear.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I would do the same.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
I don't read those things anymore.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating over 50 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
You know, Cassens Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, located in the Edwardsville Glen Carbon area, has been serving customers around here for decades. And I'll say this too, generations. And they do it with the best customer service in the area. I think car sales kind of gets, historically kind of has a bad rep. You want to go buy your car from someone who's going to talk to you straight, be upfront and honest with you, is not going to make it seem sleazy like it's a runaround and like there's a magic man behind the curtain. Cassens is upfront with you. They were very upfront with me. I told them what my budget was. They actually figured out how to get me in a vehicle and even talk me into a car, not that was a trim above, but was a trim below. And it was a really, really awesome experience to sit there and talk to Tony and to the rest of the team there and make a purchase I was confident in. Check out employee pricing right now at Cassens and visit them in Edwardsville, Glen Carbon. You can go online right now and visit them on their website at cassenscan.com.
Guns, guns, guns. It's gun show time. Don't miss the big St. Charles Gun and Knife Show and Sale this weekend at the Convention Center. Thousands of new and used rifles, shotguns, handguns, knives, wholesale ammunition, holsters, reloading supplies, and so much more. Bring in your old gun collections. Buyers on hand paying up to $10,000 for rare collections. So don't miss the big St. Charles Gun and Knife Show and Sale this weekend at the Convention Center. Saturday 9 to 5 and Sunday 9 to 3.
This week only, Edwards Carpet is having its most incredible sale of the year. In fact, the most incredible sale ever. Well, okay, I know, after months of holiday shopping and hundreds of commercials that sound just like this one does so far, where does Edwards get off saying most incredible sale ever this week only, just days after Christmas, when everybody else is telling you to drop everything and run to their incredible sale? Well, if you're even remotely thinking about new carpeting and you've been waiting for a big enough sale, then move back from your radio because here it comes. Now through January 10th, Edwards top-of-the-line 60-ounce, 15-year warranty carpet that normally sells for $7.99 a square foot is now just $4.99 a square foot. Plus a thick 7/16-inch 8-pound pad free, installed free. And this week only, interested now? We'll take up your old carpet and move your furniture free. There. If you don't think that's an incredible sale, you must have had some kind of holiday.
Open New Year's Day.
Come on down to Edwards Carpet Stores.
Get organized and save big money right now at Menards. Keep your closet neat and tidy with help from Closet Culture. Closet Culture products can be easily installed and feature a sturdy construction, perfect for storing those thick, heavy winter coats. Right now, a premium wooden Closet Culture closet kit is $249.99. Stop waiting and start saving on all of your projects at Menards. Prices are good through January 2nd.
Save big money at Menards.
I'm listening daily. You are not alone. During these challenging times, listening is fundamental to promoting understanding and healing. Here's licensed therapist Dr. Katie Morton on the importance of setting boundaries during the holidays.
Something I've been talking a lot about recently is boundary setting and expectation managing, because this year is a little bit different. And I love to tell people the best way to kind of set a boundary, because people think it means we're going to potentially fight or we're being aggressive. And no, it's clear communication and asserting ourselves. Best done what I call like a hug and roll. Or we're like, Mom, I love you. Thank you so much for inviting me to that. This means the world. The holidays are my favorite time. However, now is not the year where I can come, and I hope that you understand why I have to make that decision. Those are ways that we can try to communicate with a love up front, and then, a clear understanding of what's okay and what's not okay.
Talk has the power to save lives, and you are not alone. Find out more at imlistening.org.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Congressman Jody Heiss.
No one will ever convince me that Donald Trump did not win Georgia. He's winning big on election night. All of a sudden, there's a water main break. We come back the next morning, and miraculously, somehow Joe Biden is now leading.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9.
Oh, don't you dare look back. Just keep your eyes on me. I said you're holding back. She said, shut up and dance with me. This woman is my destiny. She said, ooh, ooh, shut up and dance with me. We were victims of the night. The chemical, physical, kryptonite. Help us to the base and fading light. Oh, we were bound to get together. Bound to get
That's me.
She took my heart.
I've got a friend who I play golf with him sometimes. He's a really good guy in my neighborhood, and every time he sees me, Timmy, that's what I get. He's a huge South Park guy.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's where that came from. So
I am not. I have tried.
I used to watch it way back in the day.
I know it's very clever.
Yes.
I know it's very up to speed on what's going on. And they
The
make
writers
fun
are-
of everyone, which I love, but it's just never been my thing.
So we haven't done this in a while, but everybody waits for this every year, hoping that I try to relate to the top songs of the year.
Yay!
And I will tell you something. As much as I'm into a lot of different eclectic music, like alternative or what some of my closest friends tease me about, bro country. That's your Florida Georgia line and that kind of stuff, right?
You do love that.
I do love that. And although, hey, what do you like? Shay, the two guys.
Yeah, because they did a song with Justin Bieber. That's
Tequila.
Yeah, but that's not the song they did with Justin Bieber. But yes, I know who you're talking about, and it's
Dan and Shay.
Yeah, Dan and Shay.
Dan and Shay.
Mhm.
Tequila. That's a great song.
Yeah.
And anyway, but I love alternative. I love alternative. And the reason I like alternative rock, I tell this story really quickly. I don't know. I always did. Going back to my formative years were in the early to mid 90s, and I went into college in the early 90s. Okay, 1989, 90. Okay, and I went to New York City, one of the birthplaces in the nation for new music. Right, you're either East Coast, West Coast, right? And that was the beginning. We were phasing out of the heavy metal and the hair metal and the ballad rock and all that. And we were getting into the early years of alternative and then eventually grunge, right? And there was a station up on Long Island, New York. Long Island. I went to Fordham University in the Bronx, and Long Island was right down the road, right up the road. And there was a station there that was nationally famous. I don't know if they're still around or not. WDRE, Long Island. And they were the alternative rock station. And I was like, whoa, what's this? This is cool. And back then, the alternative rock of that day, you guys would think these are classics now. Joy Division, Jesus and Mary Chain, The Church.
Wow, you were into the underground alternative stuff.
Okay, let me give you some things you'll recognize. The Cure.
Okay.
The Cult.
No, I recognize those first
You
bands.
do?
I
You
just
do,
don't.
Ryan? Okay.
I
Okay.
knew the names, but I couldn't tell you what they play now. I mean, I remember them at the time, though.
The Cure. The
Yeah.
Cult. What's the band that sings? I'll think of it in a second. Blue Canary in the Outlet by the Light Switch.
I don't know.
They might
yeah.
be Giants.
They might be Giants.
they
I
might be
just
Giants.
had it. Yeah.
So anyway, so I span the globe on music, except I have not kept up with the new pop top 40, top 100. But I found the list. Okay.
Let her rip.
So let me give you some of these, and then we'll do some alternative stuff to show you that I'm not such an old fogey, that I do know some of the new songs. The top 40 stuff. So let me go to and I know you're all really excited to hear me talk about
You do
Taylor
know a lot
Swift.
about pop music, though. You do have a great, every time you send me over a list to play for bumper music, I'm
Some of it.
always I'm very impressed because you are in tune.
Okay, so I do know the first band. I know the one. Okay, so if you go to the Billboard Top 100 Songs of the Year, right? The year's pretty much done. So number 100, I do recognize it's the Black Eyed Peas. Okay. But I don't know what does this mean? It says Black Eyed Peas and the ands and the featurings and the blah, blah, blahs. It's like, cool. J Balvin Ritmo, Bad Boys for Life. What does that all mean? It's like hieroglyphics.
Okay, I've heard of J Balvin, but just because McDonald's had a J Balvin meal for $5 for like 2 weeks in October.
And that's where they got their name.
This guy looks like he's wearing a jester suit too in the little video replay they got here. Number 99. I'm not going to go. I don't have time to go through the whole list. I'll just jump around a little bit. 99. Okay, Katie, who's Little Mix?
Oh my gosh, they're
Of course
so
Katie knows
great.
that.
They're fantastic. That's like my favorite girl band.
Okay.
They're not really a band because they're not playing instruments, but it's a girl group. And they've been around for years. They're so fantastic. They just lost one of the people, not lost, she left.
Oh, okay.
She left the girl band, but they're fantastic.
Okay.
I love them. Great harmony.
I'm going to go all the way down to number 50, and then we'll kind of jump down from there. So let's see. Well, Who comes in at number 50 on the Billboard Top 100 Songs of the Year? Oh, wait, I'll do 51 because I've heard of her. Ariana Grande.
Of course.
Grande.
She is like #1 artist of 2020.
She's in here a lot.
She's thrived.
Her name's
this
all
year.
over this list.
She's made so many albums.
I'm really impressing myself. Thank you very much. Number 50, 21 Pilots. I know them. Okay.
great.
Yeah.
Right.
What song was that?
Level of Concern.
Level of Concern. You got it.
Yeah. Okay.
You like 21 Pilots, Ryan?
I do. I like that band. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, here's a song. Here's a band I know. Number 46, Tame Impala.
Yep.
They're good.
Awesome.
They're good stuff. Okay. So I'm not. Oh, I know this is Katie's favorite. Drake featuring.
I love Drake.
Featuring Little Dirk. Laugh now, cry later. That's how you say.
Why do you always have to be Lil something? Like, why is everybody? Why can't you just be Dirk?
I don't know.
Give me Robot Wiggins featuring T-Bone Jones.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh,
I know. I'm wiggity whack.
Wiggity featuring T-Bone Jones.
Let's make
Yeah,
this
that's
band
it.
happen.
Yeah. And
Love it.
And K-Fits.
Yeah.
There we go. That sounds like a group right there, doesn't
It
it?
does. We can make that
Sounds
happen.
like a group to be trifled with. You wouldn't want to hit us on the street.
Okay,
Don't
here's
see me out
one.
on the
Here's
streets.
one. Ooh, she looks like she might hurt you with that hairdryer she's holding in her hand. Machine Gun Kelly.
Best favorite
No.
album of the whole entire year.
You haven't missed one yet.
I seriously, Machine Gun Kelly has the best album I have heard this year. I
Bloody
love it.
Valentine.
Amazing.
Yeah?
And he's dating Megan Fox, and they are a power couple. Love
Oh,
them.
okay.
Love them.
Ryan, do you know what
Give
Katie
it to
just
me.
said?
Come on.
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
I am familiar.
Okay, I've heard of
Yeah.
this band. So I have heard of these ladies, and I believe I've heard them before. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's another all-female band. The Chicks.
Oh, Dixie Chicks.
Oh, that's the Dixie Chicks.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
they
they're just
dropped
called the
Dixie
Chicks now?
because
Oh, 'cause
that's
that's
no
racist?
longer PC.
Yeah.
And they came out with a song this year, I think during the George Floyd stuff. So
Oh, okay.
I think that's what's on the chart.
Well, we're gonna move on from them. So here's another featuring. I'm gonna butcher this one. Get ready. Benny featuring Gus Dapperton. Super Lonely.
I don't know this one. I don't know this one. What?
You guys-
Super
wow.
lonely.
It says Super. Super Lonely. You guys love when I do
Super
this.
Lonely by Benet Donuts.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
We're running out of time here. Let me get to the top 10. Oh, here's Taylor Swift. Do you guys like Taylor Swift? I'm just over
Never
it.
heard of her.
I'm over it.
Oh man, are you
You love her. I
crazy?
know you do.
You know
Oh,
what
I just
though? That was something I had to develop into because I hate country music.
Okay.
And then she made a really, really fantastic pop album. And from then on, I was a big fan of her.
So I need to know. Number 10, Dua Lipa.
love Dua Lipa.
Is she great?
She's
Okay.
fantastic.
All right. I think she's pretty talented, right?
So
Okay.
talented, has a great, whoever is her DJ and making the beats.
Break My
awesome.
Heart is the song.
Yep.
Okay.
So good.
Number 9, DaBaby, featuring Roddy Ricch with 2 C's, Rockstar. What is that all about?
The baby.
Good?
I'm not a big fan of
Okay.
it.
Number
These
8.
names are not even creative.
No, number 8. And I love how they take letters out and suddenly that's hip and cool and with it.
Right.
So here's one. 24K Golden. They dropped the E. So it's GOLDN. 24K Golden featuring Ian Dior, Mood.
What?
What did I just say? I'm not really
What
sure.
is that?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Number 7, BTS Dynamite.
Oh, that's
I think these are just
Andrew's-
computer
that's
programs
Andrew's
at this
favorite
point.
song.
They're
Andrew
hieroglyphics,
Stoles.
right.
The DGS plays Andrew doing karaoke to that song all the time.
Number 6, Doha Cat. Say So.
A Doja.
Doja.
Cat.
I see I screwed that
Mhm.
one up. Doja Cat. Doja Cat.
Doha.
Doha. I thought
Doha.
I was being cool, guys. Doha. Number 5, Cardi B featuring Mega the Stallion.
Megan Thee
Can you
Stallion.
say that on radio? You can't call Megan a
No,
stallion.
you can't say Cardi
Can't
B on
say
that's
that.
too dirty.
Don't say the title of their song, though. Don't,
Coronavirus. Let me see the title. Oh no, I can't say
don't
that.
do that.
4, Harry Styles, Adore You.
Yes.
Number 3, she's back again.
Mhm.
Megan the Stallion featuring Beyonce, Savage, the remix. Number 2, The Weeknd. I know The Weeknd.
Mhm.
The Weeknd, Blinding Lights.
So good.
And the number 1 song, according to Billboard's Top 100, Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande, Rain on Me.
Yep.
The only Rain on Me.
Congratulations, their label bought their own album 1,000 times and made them number 1 probably.
Yep.
I agree with you, Ryan. Katie, thank you for helping us get through that. Praise God. Hey, the DGS is up next. I'm going to stick around for a little bit with Tony Colombo. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Annie Fry Show.
I'm not a
Celebrate the end of this crazy year and look forward to a more normal 2021 with a visit this week to Diamonds Direct. Now through January 2nd, we've extended our special 4-year 0-interest holiday finance offer so you can pick any item, get the guaranteed